following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
From Austin, Texas, this is the UIL State Championships here on FoxSportsSouthwest.com. The 4A Softball State Championships from McCombs Field on the campus of the University of Texas. 3 state champions will be crowned today. First up in Class 4A, it's an all-Houston area final as Huffman Hargrave looking for their first team state title in any sport, taking on the Blue Jays of Needville looking for their second state softball title. And good morning, everybody. I'm Greg Sherman, joined by somebody who knows a thing or two about winning a state championship, Harmony Schvetzhelm, who won a state championship at Smithson Valley back in 2001. Well, Harmony, what are these teams going through as we're just about ready for first pitch?
You know, there's a lot of excitement going on. You can probably hear behind us. The fans are already up. A lot of nerves involved in that, but both teams have a game under their belt, and I look for them to show up to play.
These two teams took different approaches to getting out of the semifinals on Thursday. Hargrave won a 2-0 game over Snyder. Savannah Cates pitched a magnificent game. Meanwhile, Needville had to come from behind to beat Texarkana Pleasant Grove. Harmony, which team does that favor? The one that went to the traditional approach of winning 2-0, or the team that had to win the slugfest?
You know, it's a game to play, a day to play softball. So you're going to see something here today that we probably didn't see on the semifinals on Thursday. I favor the hitters always, but you never know. Needville might come out and show something different. Moreno might have a better day on the mound, and that's what we're going to look for today. Definitely.
It's a couple of Houston area teams, one from Southwest Houston, one from Northeast Houston, as both teams looking for a state championship. As we take a look at the field, first off, in immaculate shape, there is the Falcons defense. It's O'Neal McCloskey, who had a big day on Thursday, and Janik. Around the horn in the infield, it's Phil Brand, George, Yanello, Watson. The starting battery is Loren Dempsey behind the plate, and Savannah Cates, who pitched the shutout on Thursday, getting the start. Cates really only in one jam during the game. She won it 2-0. First pitch skips away to Mary CRANEK, and we are underway at 9:02 Central Daylight Time. Thank you so much for joining us here on FoxSportsSouthwest.com. There is the starting lineup. CRANEK at short, Matula at second base, Briscoe in center, Crosby the catcher, FIEBRICH at first base, Hine the designated player, Nolan at third base, Bachert at right field, Bachert, excuse me, and then Ramey in left field. Pitch here taken for a ball, and it is 2-0. Needville in the blues, while Hargrave is in the black tops, white pants. CRANEK was 2 for 4. The run scored an RBI on Thursday. Needville trailed for a while in that game, came back to win it. Noel Hine with the game-winning 3-run triple. Pitch here, taken all the way for a strike. It's 2-1. We've got a great umpiring crew today out of the Fort Worth chapter. Keith King, the home plate umpire. First base is Stephanie Hayes. Mark Gaskell at second. Destry Clay at third. The alternate is Ron Goodpaster, a 4-person crew with an alternate. Congratulations to all those umpires on making it to the state championship game. 2 balls, 1 strike. Pitch swung on and fouled off to the screen, and it's 2-2. Not only is it a battle of Houston area teams, Harmony, it's a battle of the birds. We've got the Blue Jays and the Braves.
Yeah, so we're going to have a bird winner this year.
Check that. It's actually the Falcons. I had the wrong Atlanta professional sports team there. 2 balls, 2 strikes, just underway here. The 2-2 pitch is swung on, popped up in the air. That will get out of the seats over towards the Hargrave section, and a fan not able to make the catch. And dare I say, I think a couple of the boos for the fans are back out. We saw that on Thursday. You never want to boo the players, obviously, but a couple of fans booing that fan for not making the catch right there.
Yeah, an unforgiving fan at least to each other, and a missed opportunity by the fan over there.
So it'll stay at 2-2. Pitch on the outside corner, full count, 3-2. Game starting here at 10 a.m. 89 degrees, it's going to be a warm one here today. Field is in great condition. The heavy rains that had plagued the central part of the state finally left over the weekend last weekend. The field's had a great chance to dry out. So 3 balls, 2 strikes. The payoff pitch is inside, ball 4, and CRANEK draws an early walk. After Cates only walked 1 batter on Thursday, she's already given up a leadoff walk. That'll bring up KYLIE Matula, the second baseman. Matula, who's a verbal commit to Texas State. Matula was 1 for 2 with 3 runs scored and a couple of RBIs in the semifinal on Thursday. Pitches outside for a ball, 1-0. Stands pretty well packed here as a lot of blue down the first baseline and Hargrave red down the third baseline. Hargrave again, the Falcons. 1 ball, no strikes. Pitch is outside, 2-0. Scouting report on Savannah Cates, who's already signed to play at East Texas Baptist. Her pitches are screw, drop, curve, and changeup. Threw a 4-hitter, walked 1, struck out 3 on Thursday. Two balls, no strikes. Pitch is inside for a ball. Runner takes off for second. In there safely is CRANEK. So CRANEK with the stolen base, and now on a what'll be a 3-0 count. Good to see the bunt sign come on. There's the throw down, and what a great play right there.
Absolutely. You know, you're seeing the aggression on the bases. Needville gets a runner on, kind of a given run on, but she takes advantage of it, and she gets a little bit more there.
With a 3-0 count, we'll see if the bunt sign comes on from Atula with nobody out. Hargrave won the flip and elected to play home, meaning they'll get the last at bat. So Needville trying to get on the board first before Hargrave gets a chance to bat. Pitch taken all the way on 3-0 is a strike 3-1. The 5A state championship game, Aledo won the flip. The game coming up next, they actually elected to have the at-bats first as a visitor team. I want to ask you about that right after this pitch. 3-1 is high for a ball 4, so back-to-back walks, first and second with nobody out. So Aledo wanted to go with the at-bats first. Most teams would usually want to have the last at-bat. Is there one advantage over the other?
You know, I think it's a comfort zone thing in what you want to do. You want to strike first, or do you want to have the last bats, like you said? Do you want to be able to make sure that you can hang on or come back and get that win in the end?
Caroline Briscoe, the center fielder, is up next. Briscoe is 1 for 4, the run scored in the game on Thursday. Needville located in Fort Bend County on the southwest side of Houston. Huffman Hargrave on the northeast side in the extreme portions of Harris County. First pitch to Briscoe, lays down the bunt. Bunt is laid down nicely. Third baseman gloves it, fires over to first. Not in time, pulls the first baseman off. So she'll be safe on what will be a field fielder's choice. It'll end up being a single, and now the base is loaded with nobody out.
Yeah, and this is a great execution right here of a sacrifice bunt that ends up turning into something more. And you know, when you use a short game in softball, it often does that. You take advantage of 2 walks that Cates has given, as you mentioned, only 1 on the game on Thursday, and already here giving them 2 free bases, and then they just took a couple more.
Megan Crosby, the catcher, 0 for 4 on Thursday, steps up now. Chance to give her team the lead. First pitch from Cates is low for a ball, 1-0. Amber Schmidt, the coach for Needville, as LaTanya Dorsey's going to come out and talk to her pitcher. What's interesting to know is both of these squads, their number 2 pitcher has pitched in the semifinals before. Megan Unroe got the start in the loss last year against LaGrange. And of course, we saw Orsak, the reliever, come in on Thursday for Needville. So both these teams have deep pitching staffs with a lot of playoff experience. You know,
and that has to make you feel good as a coaching staff, at least, that you know you have other options to go to. You don't just have to ride the workhorse that you usually use. And right now, I know that that's a thought, but I think really Coach Dorsey right here is really talking as much to her pitcher as she is to her defense. You have bases loaded, a high pressure situation early in the game. She's trying to make sure they stay composed and stay behind their pitcher's back.
LaTanya Dorsey, the alumnus from Texas Lutheran University in Seguin, 9th year as the head coach, 16 total. Also was at Pasadena, Sam Rayburn as a coach. Amber Schmidt, an alumnus from Needville, was not on the state championship or Final Four qualifying teams in 09 and 10 respectively. Farthest she ever got before this year as a player was in the 3rd round. So 1 ball, no strikes. Bases loaded, chance for Crosby to give her team the lead. Pitch is softly grounded foul down the 3rd baseline, and it's 1-1. Is it a little early to potentially go for the suicide squeeze? We saw that a few times in some of the semis yesterday.
You know, I'd say it's never too early to go for it. The difference you do have here is you have bases loaded, so there's a force at the plate that might deter people from doing it.
1 ball, 1 strike. Pitch is popped up in the air, out of play. So that'll make it 1 ball and 2 strikes. As I mentioned, Keith King, the home plate umpire, calling the balls and strikes. 2nd straight year he's had the plate in a state finals game. Last year he had Conroe, the Woodlands against Deer Park in what is now Class 6A. First state championship game for the rest of the umpiring crew today. 1-2 pitch, swung on and chopped foul off her foot, and it will stay at 1-2. There you see the ankle and shin brace on her left leg. Kate's getting the sign from her catcher. Here's the pitch. Swung on, a ground ball hit to the third baseman. She'll throw home to get the force. That's all they'll get. The third baseman, or the runner heading home, will knock out the catcher. Inadvertent there. Certainly nothing intentional there, but the sacrifice, or excuse me, the fielder's choice cuts down the lead runner at home.
Yeah, you're going to see here the play here at the plate. And no, I don't think it's anything intentional. This is her job. Her job is to go straight into the plate, break that play up. It's not to injure anybody, but she doesn't want her turning two there. She goes straight in. She's on the plate. That's her path.
We've seen it in the last few years in Major League Baseball where they've kind of changed the rule on where the catcher can stand. We saw injuries with, I think it was a Miami Marlins player a few years ago, injuring himself, sliding into the game in San Francisco. I guess as a catcher, how do you play the plate trying to protect the plate and yourself?
You know, I think in that position where you have a force, you have to stick your ground. It's just like any other bag. Your first priority is to make sure you get that out, and then you worry about the other stuff. You stand your ground, you keep a hold of the ball, make sure you have a hand on it in your glove. And in an attacking play, you really have to make sure that you're out of the way, but you can still block that area without obstructing the play.
Mary Jo Stavinoa comes in to pinch run for Crosby, as she'll come in courtesy run. As you'll see that a lot where the pitchers and catchers will hit for themselves and then will be lifted for a courtesy runner and then re-enter. So bases loaded, still one out. Here's FIEBRICH, the first baseman. Sacrifice fly still in order along with the ground out. Which is a little bit too far inside for a ball, 1-0.
And if you're Hargrave right here, you really want to see Kate step up and start working ahead of batter. She's getting behind, and she's really having to come and throw hitter's pitches rather than what she wants to throw.
FIEBRICH was 0 for 2 with a run scored and an RBI on Thursday. 1 ball, no strikes. The pitch is inside, hits her, and you never want to get hit by a pitch, but in this case, it helps you, as that a hit by a pitch is how the first run of this game will be scored.
Hey, that's an RBI right there for her. You do have to learn how to do it, and that's one of those ones, that ball came straight in the middle of her. I don't know that there's a way that she really can get out of the way of that.
So Needville gets the first run of the game. Maybe a little painful way, but I can guarantee you that FIEBRICH probably feels just fine getting hit by the pitch.
Absolutely.
As it brings home the first run of the game. That'll bring up Noelle Hine, the designated player. Had the game-winning 3-run triple on Thursday. Pitch swung on, hit in the air to left field. Could be trouble if it stays fair, but it will drift foul just out of the reach of the left fielder, O'Neill. That'll make it 0-1. There's Savannah Cates' line from Thursday. Pitched the shutout, of course, on Thursday. Shutout already gone here. Walked 1 on Thursday. Has already walked 2 and hit a batter so far in 4 hits allowed on Thursday. So base is still loaded with Blue Jays. In an 0-1 count. Pitch is a ground ball hit back to Kate. She'll go home again and throws wide, pulls the catcher off the plate. Run scores. That will probably go down as an error, and Needville gets a run, and it's now 2-0. And a little bit of nerves early on for Savannah Cates.
Absolutely, you're seeing it a lot more here than we did in the semifinal game. A ball coming right back to her. We saw before. You know, this is that thing I talked about before. A pitcher's used to throwing underhand, and then she turns around and has to throw something over with a little bit of pressure on her, and that ball gets away from her.
We'll wait for the official scoring. It will be an error on the pitcher, so no RBI, and for now the run is unearned. That'll bring up Taylor Nolan, the third baseman. Pitch taken here for a strike, 0-1. So Kate showing a little bit of nerves so far. She was pretty much in control of Snyder on Thursday. First batter of the game nearly hit a home run. Snyder had a threat in the second inning, then after that, Kate's pretty much kept them in check. 0-1, swung on and missed here by Nolan, 0-2.
And you see Kate's come back right there. We saw this a lot on Thursday. Her curveball really working for her, breaking right at the point of contact, and really eating batters up.
So far, Needville's taken advantage of 2 walks, a hit by a pitch and an error to push 2 across and still threatening. Pitch swung on and missed here, strike 3. Nolan strikes out, and Kate's finally able to get an out. Should be the end of the inning, which now will make every runner unearned that's on the base pass. The run that scored now becomes unearned.
Yeah, I think you're starting to see her feel a little bit more control here, and like she has a little more confidence back under her.
8th hitter to come to the plate in the inning. That's Bacher, the right fielder. Pitch on the outside corner taken for a strike, 0-1. Bacher on Thursday was 1 for 2 with a run scored. Saw the umpiring crews on Thursday, gave all 4 starting pitchers in the 4A games, gave them the outside corner, and so far it looks like they're giving them the same. 0-1 is outside, 1-1. Needville's already pushed 2 runs across. 1 earned, 1 unearned. One is high, 2-1.
Yeah, Kate's still trying to find the strike zone. You know, she came back with some strikes. She's starting to get ahead a little bit more, but still struggling a little bit to figure that out and really get in her groove.
Well, in the Thursday semifinal, Needville was involved. They gave up 2 runs early, but then scored 1 in the bottom of the first. They ended up coming back to win that game. The 2-1 here. In the outside corner again, 2-2, and again, they're letting the umpires are letting the pitchers paint that outside corner.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I love to see that. I love to see umpires who are making pitchers work, but also giving them those corners and make batters actually take cuts at them.
1 strike from getting out of the jam. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The pitch misses outside, 3-2, and she's in danger now of walking home a batter.
Yeah, again, really, she's putting more pressure on herself in these situations, walking to, hitting a batter, and then really getting to full count on a lot of the batters, or at least getting to 3 balls on a lot of the batters.
Full count, runners will be in motion. Base hit could clear them. The payoff pitch is outside, ball 4. Another run will come home. So Needville scored a run on a hit by a pitch, then an error, and now a bases loaded walk, 3-0, and that run, just like the last run, unearned.
And, you know, Needville doing a great job. You mentioned it in the game on Thursday. Whatever they needed to do to continue to push runs across, they did. Scoreless in the first inning, but then continued every inning after that to poke some through. And they started early today. No nerves in this finals game from what it looks like offensively, really going right at them.
Cates had walked only 29 batters, including the game on Thursday, and she's already walked 1, 2, 3, and hit a batter.
And, you know, that's something as a coach you have to think of. You know that that's not usually an issue with her. Again, hate to continue to go back to it, but nerves definitely playing a role. On this game, they're on the defensive side first and didn't have the chance of really starting with the sticks.
Casey Ramey, the number 9 hitter, left fielder, up the bat, so Needville is now batted around. Pitch taken for a strike, 0-1, and the frustrating thing has to be, if you're going to give up 3 runs, at least make Needville earn them. With all the walks hit by a pitch and an error, Needville's really taken advantage of the mistakes of Hargrave.
And that's exactly what happens with walks. They end up scoring most of the time.
The 0-1 pitch, taken right down the middle for a strike, 0-2. It's 200 down the lines, 220 to straightaway center, and if you want to go shopping at the gap, it's 212. Ramey was 2 for 3 with a couple of runs scored in that victory on Thursday. The 0-2, outside again, 1-2. And Cates was able to work the outside corner on Thursday, trying to work it again, but we've just seen so many pitches where she's just missing her spot by about 6 inches.
Yeah, she just doesn't seem to have quite as much control yet. And again, nerves could be playing a big role, and I think she'll hopefully get that under belt as we go into the later game.
Pitch is swung on, popped up in the air. Cates will make the catch. The inning is finally over, but Needville takes advantage of the Huffman Hargrave mistakes. They scored 3 runs, 2 unearned on just 1 hit. There was 1 costly error, and the base and left loaded. We're through half an inning complete. It's Needville 3, Huffman Hargrave nothing. Back in a moment here on FoxSportsSouthwest.com. Back here at McCombs Field, Needville with 3 early runs to lead at 3-0. We had a chance earlier to catch up with both head coaches to talk about this state championship game.
Anybody that makes it to this point is going to be a good team, and we know Needville's a good team as well. We know a little bit more about Needville because they're kind of more towards our area.
It'll be a good Houston matchup, that's for sure. We've just got to go back and stick to our game plan. We need our pitchers to continue to hit their spots. We've got to play good defense, hopefully, and we've just got to continue to swing the bats like we've been doing and putting the pressure on.
Didn't even have to swing, Needville didn't have to swing the bats in that first inning. They scored 3 runs off of several walks and error and a hit batter. We'll get to the lineup starting in just a moment. Matty O'Neill, the left fielder, though, will lead it off for the Falcons. First pitch way outside for a ball, and it's 1-0. Defensively, it's Ramey, Briscoe, and Bachert in the outfield. Nolan, Kranek, Matula, FIEBRICH in the infield. Crosby, the starting catcher, and Victoria Moreno, who got pulled in the 3rd inning of the game on Thursday, will get the start, and she's got the start with a 3-0 lead. 1-0 pitch, just on the outside corner, misses 2-0. Matty O'Neill, the left fielder, on Thursday was 0 for 3 in the leadoff spot. There's the batting lineup. O'Neill in left, Janik in right, Dempsey the catcher, George at short, McCloskey the center fielder, Watson at first base, Yanell at second base, Phil Brand at third, and Tomlinson the DP. Pitch is outside again, 3-0, and the long inning, did that potentially maybe hurt Moreno a little bit, having to get out of routine because of that long first inning?
Absolutely, but she does have the advantage of still having the bullpen down there. I'm not certain that she jumped in there. We did see her start the game off on Thursday like this as well, having a little bit of time to find the strike zone.
Pitch taken right down the middle on 3-0 for a strike. It's 3-1. There you see O'Neill did not reach base in the semifinals against Snyder. Pitch taken outside, ball 4. Well, the top of the first started with a walk, and the bottom of the first starts out that way, and it could be up for another high-scoring affair.
You know, I think Hargrave would do a great job of putting that pressure back on the pitcher, making them make those same mistakes, walking batters, moving runners around, and getting some unearned runs.
I had a chance to catch up with both head coaches about 10 minutes prior to the ball game, and Amber Schmidt, the coach for Needville, said, hey, if it's a low-scoring affair, that fares good for Hargrave, but if it's a high-scoring affair, that fares good for us.
Absolutely.
There's Janik at the plate. Pitch sting for a ball, throw down to second, and safe. Is O'Neill in there with a stolen base. This inning starting exactly as we saw the top of the first, a walk and a stolen base.
Yeah, and a great opportunity there, not only for the steal, but it also takes the force off at second. Now you only have a force at first, and you have to take that runner into consideration.
Moreno only pitched 2 1/3, giving up 4 runs. Did receive a no decision. Pitch misses here. That'll make it 2-0. Demi Janik was a pinch runner in the state semifinal loss last year to LaGrange. Hargrave beat LaGrange twice last week to get here and then beat Snyder 2-0 to get to the final. Pitch taken all the way for a ball. Throw down to second as O'Neill looked to induce a throw. She did, but was not able to advance. We've seen that so much throughout the tournament where runners will take off not trying to steal but trying to induce a throw, hoping that someone will make a mistake.
Absolutely.
2-1 is outside, 3-1, and we saw a plethora of errors in the 5A and 6A semifinals yesterday. In fact, the Woodlands had 3 costly errors that allowed 2 Katy runs to score, and Katy ended up beating them in extra innings.
Yeah, and this type of atmosphere definitely puts that pressure on you. And there's players that kind of fold under that pressure, and there's ones that rise to the top and elevate their game.
The state final, it's such a neutralizing matchup because you get teams that are used to being here, teams that are not used to being here, and yesterday we saw some of the teams that are used to being here struggling and some of the teams that are not used to being here thriving.
It definitely changes the idea of home advantage.
The 3-1 here taken all the way high. Called strike, that'll make it a full count. Needville scoring 3 runs, 2 under in the top of the first as Hargrave trying to battle back. Payoff pitch is swung on, popped up in the air off the netting behind home plate, and they'll stay at 3-2. Tanya Dorsey down at third base, and the first base coach and the pitching coach is Lana Bowers. She played her college ball at Louisiana Lafayette And Dorsey said that Bowers at some point should be a head coach down the road. 3-2 again is swung on a soft chopper. Fielded by Moreno, has one play over to first, just in time. Nice throw there, taking third is O'Neal. So Janik, not a sacrifice, but still does the trick, getting the runner over to third.
Yeah, does a good job of slapping it, really. If we could have gotten that a little bit more over to the 5-6 hole away from the pitcher, but Moreno does a great job getting off or out of the circle and going and getting that and making a quick play.
And what is a slapper?
You know, a slapper is really somebody that's meant to put pressure, manipulate the defense, ideally early in the game especially, keep the ball down.
Loren Dempsey, the catcher, up to bat now. She was 0 for 3 on Thursday. Takes the ball here, 1-0. Janik, by the way, was 1 for 3 with a run scored on Thursday. There's Dempsey's line in the semifinal against Snyder. She made a couple of nice defensive plays, so even though she wasn't able to contribute anything offensively, still contributing on the defense. 1-0 is line foul down the left field line over towards the batting cages, where Vista Ridge is waiting to play Aledo in the Class 5A final coming up after this one.
She looks like she might want to play a little bit of an offensive role today with that swing.
Oh, definitely. Jeff Power will have the broadcast of the 5A and 6A finals. Back here, 1-1 pitch. And the throw down to third is wide. Fortunately, the shortstop was able to back up the third baseman. And again, trying to induce a throw in. Needville almost threw it away.
Yeah, that almost looked like that was the play, but I don't think it was. Luckily, like you said, we have the shortstop crashing over. It looks like the batter kind of got in the way of it. That's one of those things you got to be aware of when you're throwing the ball.
Dempsey, a commit and already signed to play for the Colorado School of Mines. Pitch swung on, popped up in the air. Second baseman calling everybody off. That's Matula. Makes the play, and that's a huge out. As Crosby, unable to move the runner, takes the sacrifice fly out of play, and now there's 2 outs.
Yeah, and it looked like she was had the right idea in mind, hitting the bottom half of the ball. The ball just didn't get far enough out.
That'll bring up KYLIE George, the shortstop. 0 for 3 on Thursday. I forgot to mention, with all these stolen bases, for 13 years, you were tied for the record for most stolen bases in a tournament. You had 3 in 2001 for Smithson Valley, back when they played in the second highest classification. So you know a thing or two about stealing bases.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, it's good to see it. We didn't see much running in the last game, so it's good to see it here.
Pitch hits the inside corner to George, 0-1. George, a sophomore. Both these teams have a lot of underclassmen coming back next year, and as I mentioned, each team has their backup pitcher with experience pitching in the circle here in Austin. Pitch is fouled off the screen, 0-2. Of course, you played here in high school, 2 state championships, winning once, losing the other time in the finals, played for Baylor. Is there any sort of adjustment playing here at McCombs Field versus playing in a regular high school stadium where maybe you're not so used to the bigger crowd?
There definitely is. You know you're going to have a great field setting, but the crowd is definitely bigger, and the atmosphere, you just know where you are, and that takes a factor into it.
Field is kind of in a bowl, keeps the heat trapped inside, so it's a lot warmer on the field than it is in the stands. Pitch way outside, 1-2. As I mentioned, Hargrave has never won a team state title in any sport. Their most famous alum is Keith Folk, 91 alum, got the final out for the Red Sox in 04 in the World Series to break their 86-year drought, not winning the World Series. Pitch outside here, 2-2. Of course, he's an important alum. So is a gentleman who lives in Huffman who's not an alum. That would be the man, the old school people like Jeff Power and I know him as the boxer. The younger school people know him as the guy who made the grill, that being George Foreman.
You know everyone has one of those at their house too, so.
The 2-2 pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3. The inning is over. So Moreno gets into a jam, gets out of it, walking 1, but able to get out without any trouble. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left on base. We're through 1 complete. It is Needville 3, Huffman Hargrave nothing. Back in a moment here on FoxSportsSouthwest.com. One inning complete here in the Class 4A state championship game. Needville with the lead 3-0. Greg Sherman joined by Harmony Schvetzhelm, who played in the state championship game twice for Smithson Valley. 1-01, lost in the final in 2002. They beat Hallsville in 01, lost to Frisco in 02. So you've been on both sides of the action, winning one and losing one. I guess the different emotions in winning versus losing.
You know, I'd say the same heightened sense of those emotions. Obviously, one more on the positive scale and one on the negative. It was definitely hard to win the junior year and then to lose the senior year. But it's humbling and it's part of the game. You know, it's you learn to be a good sport, winning and losing. There's so much on the line, so much of your season. You know how it feels, and you know how it feels to be taken away. So one of these is going to feel the positive side of that today, and one of these teams is going to feel the negative of that.
Well, Needville batted around in the first, left the bases loaded, but they took advantage of mistakes by Hargrave. A slew of walks, a hit batter, and an error allowed 3 runs to score. They only had 1 hit in the inning, so we go back top of the order. It's CRANEK, Matula, and BRISCOE. CRANEK walked, stole second, and was erased at home on a fielder's choice. Takes a ball here, it's 1-0. And I guess, how do you avoid, if you're Hargrave, trying to make too many heroic plays now, trying to get back into the game?
You know, I think you look at it as a new ball game. 1 inning behind us now.
1-0 is swung on, pop in the air, head towards our booth, and it goes into our booth, and Bart McNeil, our camera operator, just stood right there, and we've got the ball up here in the booth.
The fans love it. The fans love it.
Oh, they're cheering you because you caught it on a hop, so security will have to come up here and get it, because if we try to throw the ball down there, don't know what's going to happen. The 1-1 pitch bunted back to Cates in the circle. Goes over to first. Pitch throw is high. And taking off for second will be CRANEK. She's going to dig for 3. Throw will not be in time. So a 3-base error. And unfortunately for Cates, that's her second error of the game.
You know, she does a great job here of taking what was given. Not a great bunt, not the top half of the ball, and really right back to the pitcher. But then a missed throw, and she gets real aggressive on the bases. As you mentioned earlier, I do love to run the bases, so I love to see it when other people are doing it.
And LaTanya Dorsey's coming out. We may see a pitching change, and we are. And here comes Megan Unroe. I told you they had a backup pitcher who pitched in the semis last year. That was Unroe, as unfortunately for Savannah Cates, only able to get through 1 inning plus, a couple of errors, and here comes Megan Unroe. And I guess, what does LaTanya Dorsey say to Savannah Cates after Cates pitched so well on Thursday and unfortunately was not able to duplicate that in this one?
You know, I think this early in the game, she has to say, keep your mind right. Go work your pitches. Go down to the bullpen. Whatever you need to do to rebound from that, we might need you at the end of this game. You know, we're so early in the game. Who knows what continues here. If Needville continues to stay on the relief pitcher, we're going to see something different in the later innings.
Well, Unroe pitched in the semifinals against LaGrange last year, a game that LaGrange won 4-1. They took so long to solve Marissa Zoke, who they finally solved in the quarterfinals, that unfortunately Unroe's great pitching performance was not able to lead to victory. So what kind of confidence does this give Hargrave, knowing now you have a backup pitcher that has pitched in this arena before?
You know, you mentioned the depth before, and it's a huge advantage coming in. Not just that she's pitched here, but they have somebody on the bench that they can go to where you don't have to leave a pitcher out there that might need, again, some extra time to settle down or work through some other pitches.
And now 3-0 the Jam right now. But what's interesting is the game on Thursday, when Needville trailed 2-0 after half an inning, came back to win. That was the first time in almost 10 years that the team that did not score first in the semis or finals for this classification came back to win. And these days, with the circle moving back 3 feet, we're not used to seeing many more 1-0, 2-0 games. We're seeing more of the 8-7, 15-13 games we've seen over the last couple of years.
Yeah, you're right. And you mentioned the difference between the home and visitor advantage. If you know that, you want to score first.
So here's Matula, walked and scored the game's first run in the first. Cates threw 38 pitches, 35 in the first inning. First pitch is fouled away, and it's 0-1. As soon as we have it, we'll show you, or we'll tell you what Unroe's line was last year in the semifinals. She pitched 6 innings, gave up 4 runs, 3 earned on 5 hits, walked 4, struck out 2. and did not hit a batter. That was her pitching line from the semis last year. Pitches high for a ball here, 1-1. Cates' line for now not complete. He's given up 3 runs on 1 hit, only 1 earned, responsible for the runner at third, which will be unearned if that runner scores. Hit a batter and then 2 critical errors as well. Pitch here, a ball, 2-1.
You know, if you're Hargrave here, I think you have to continue to tell yourself everything that they've gotten, we've given them. This is all in our control still. We got to do our job defensively before we can start doing it offensively.
2 balls, 1 strike. Pitch is fouled off the screen and then off the gate above the UT logo. Evens it up. Should be 2-2. The scoreboard has 3-1. Unrow looking to get a critical out here. Time called. Well, C.J. Mazak at first base, he's an assistant coach. He knows a thing or two about being in the state championships. Coached the Blue Jays to the state championship in 2009 and then back to the Final Four in 2010. Retired a few years ago, then came out of retirement when Amber Schmidt took the job. Pitch here is a ball high. And that'll make it a full count at 3-2.
And Matula at the plate, she's doing a great job of staying patient and attacking a pitch that comes into the zone.
Pitch here swung on and missed, strike 3. So Unrow comes on in relief and gets a big out for the first out of the inning, and that's certainly going to help Unrow's confidence, not just the fact that she was here last year, but she comes on and jam and is able to get the first batter out.
Yeah, also for Coach Dorsey, I know that's a sigh of relief when you see that she goes to a full count, but she takes care of the batter right there, coming in with a lot of confidence that shows.
That'll bring up BRISCOE, who singled and scored her first time up. Runner still at third is CRANEK. Pitch taken all the way for a strike, and it's 0-1. Top of the second is 3-0 Needville. BRISCOE came in, according to Coach Amber Schmidt, with a little bit of a slight back injury heading into the Final Four, but BRISCOE played well on Thursday, and obviously starting here. Bunt is laid down, but it's foul, 0-2.
Again, love to see the coaches using the short game and being aggressive there. Not sure that it was a suicide squeeze, but even without that, in a safety squeeze where you have the bunt laid down, the runner looking to see what the third baseman or the first baseman does with it, and then reading the play is there. And
with the slugfest that softball has become these days, you never can have enough insurance. 0-2 is outside, 1-2. Needville, the town founded back in the 1890s. A interesting story about how the town got its name. It was founded by August Schendel as Schendelville, obviously named it after himself. Town changed its name in 1894 to Needville because, according to legend, they needed everything. Pitch is fouled off the screen. 1-2 will remain the count. So that's how Needville got the name. If Needville wins, they'll have to get a bigger mantle. They'll need one to bring home a second state championship. They do have state championships in other sports. They have multiple state championships in volleyball and boys track. 1-2 the count. Pitch in the outside corner, misses 2-2. You see the umpire holding his hands up. He has the official count. What looks like you're right is the ball count, and then to your left is the strike count. It's reversed for you watching it on TV. But when it's 2-2, it all looks the same. Pitch is swung on, chopped foul in the circle again, and we'll keep it at 2-2.
Unrow doing a great job keeping that ball right on the handles of her bat and really going in hard, not having enough time to get the barrel to the ball.
Blue Jays scored 3 runs in the first. They have a runner standing at third with 1 out and a 2-2 count. Pitch is swung on, hit in the air in foul territory down the right field line. It will land out of play over towards the Needville section of blue, and we'll keep it at 2-2.
Another missed opportunity with the fans. No one even attempted to catch that one.
Victoria Moreno started the year with a back injury, came back for district, so she has not played a full season. Moreno 19-1. So certainly the back injury not really affecting her, at least record-wise.
No, and doesn't look like it's affecting her when she's swinging the bat either. She's doing a good job of, like I said, swinging the bat hard and working really to get that barrel through the zone.
And she did pick up the no decision on Thursday. The reliever Orsak picked up her 3rd win in relief in the playoffs. And the 2-2 is fouled off the netting, and we'll keep it at 2-2. BRISCOE doing a great job here, battling, trying to force Unruh to throw more pitches and at least having a very competitive at-bat.
Yeah, especially with a 2-2 count, you know you got to protect. That's what you want to see. You want to see someone in the box throwing their hands at the ball.
Unruh on in relief here in the 2nd inning for the starter Cates. Pitch is fouled in the air. That will get out of play. That was pitch number 8 of the at-bat. Anytime you get to these long at-bats, who does that favor, the pitcher or the batter?
You know, that really favors the batter, and if it's not for this at-bat, it's for later in the game. With this type of heat, and even in any game, with this much excitement and this much on the line, the more pitches a pitcher has to throw, the harder that is to overcome.
Pitch is outside. That'll make it a full count. Needville comes in 33-7 on the year. Hargrave 29-5. Ironically, if one of Needville's wins, they were short a game in a tournament because one team dropped out. They needed a team. They called the Needville JV, and the varsity beat the JV. Payoff pitch. They ground ball to short. Shortstop knocks it down. Throws over to first. Not in time. Run scores. It'll be unearned, and Needville finally gets the run home as BRISCOE picks up the RBI, and that will make it now 4-0 Blue Jays.
You know, this is a great backhand you're seeing here by the shortstop. Ball takes her to the opposite side, does a great job of fielding it, has a hard time getting it across the infield. But again, the first baseman does a good job right there. The last thing you want is a pass ball. Go get that ball, come off the bag, go get the ball, and make sure runners don't advance.
Really no chance for George to try to throw the runner out at first. So the RBI for BRISCOE, that'll bring up Megan Crosby, who reached in a fielder's choice, was lifted for a pinch runner, and scored in the first. Pitch is fouled away. 0-1. Pinch runner, courtesy runner, a little bit different in softball, where the courtesy runner, which was Stavinoa, came on, and then Crosby re-entered. A pinch runner usually means that the batter is out of the game.
Well, they can go back in, but then they're pretty much stuck in. When they come back out again, then they're exhausted.
Sometimes makes the box score look a little awkward with all these substitutions. Pitch on the inside corner there for a strike, 0-2. And again, you see the umpire with the count. It looks 2-0 on your screen, but it's actually 0-2. The umpire is the only one that has the official count. Pitch fouled off the screen again, and will stay at 0-2. So BRISCOE won the battle, a 10-pitch at-bat, gets the single. Now Crosby trying to work Unruh's pitch count high as well.
You know, in those long at-bats, you're really thinking you got to make the adjustments. You've seen a lot of these batters, especially Crosby right here, pulling off the ball. An outside pitch, instead of going with that, you see the rest of her body, her front shoulder and her head pulling out.
They do have a 3rd pitcher, Holly Saunier, who's so good she's their closer. She's committed to play for Galveston College. Pitch is lined down the left field line, could be trouble, but hooked foul. Crosby had the right idea, but a little bit in front of that ball.
Yeah, good use of the off-speed. I'm actually surprised we didn't see it in that last at-bat. You know, when you have a batter in a rhythm and you're coming throwing the same speed, really can throw somebody off, mixing the speeds up.
So that'll make the count 0-2. Still only one out here in the inning. The run, by the way, is charged to Cates. And so that will close the book on her line for now. Pitch outside. Called strike 3. So the outside corner works that time for Unruh. 2nd strikeout for her in the inning. That'll be the 2nd out.
You know, and that's why you don't want to leave it in the umpire's hands. That's a ball that could go either way. We've seen them, not just today, but as you mentioned on Thursday, given the corners, you got to be aggressive with the bat. Anything close, anything they can call a strike, you got to be swinging.
That'll bring up FIEBRICH, who was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded, counts as an RBI in her first at bat in the first. Pitch is outside of the righty, and it's 1-0. First of 3 games today here on FoxSportsSouthwest.com. Aledo going for 3 in a row in Class 5A. They will take on Cedar Park Vista Ridge from just up the road here in Austin. Then our 6A final will be Katy taking on Louisville. Pitch taken all the way here for a strike, evens it up at 1-1.
Unruh doing a great job of finding those corners. She's kind of getting in the groove with the behind-the-plate umpire and kind of understanding what he's calling, what they're not swinging at and what they are swinging at.
And again, the umpires are calling pretty much the same strike zone. This is a different crew than what either one of these teams saw on Thursday, but the umpires consistently giving that outside corner. Pitch is high, gets away from the catcher. Wild pitch will move BRISCOE down to second. So Kate's started, really was not able to get much into a groove. Unruh comes on and struck out a couple, but again, a little bit of a shaky start for her.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times when your pitcher is trying to move the ball around, trying to make the batters see something different, there's a couple that get away from you. It's the first one we've seen so far, and for the most part, she's kept control.
Pitch taken all the way here for a strike, evens it up at 2-2.
You know, when the umpire is given those corners and given a little bit of a larger strike zone, it definitely gives an advantage to the pitcher, but at the same time, hitters have to know that going in. You have to make the adjustments. It's going to be different every game, and you got to know that.
This crew had one of the 6A semis yesterday between Conroe, the Woodlands, and Katy, and the strike zone that they called pretty much what they're calling now. Pitch is popped up in the air. It will hit high off the net, and we'll do it again at 2-2. The umpiring all throughout all the classifications has been great this week. We've seen a lot of conferences, had some close calls with home run balls. The umpires get together. We've seen multiple obstruction calls over at third base. But the umpire is the best of the best in the state. They've all done a great job of huddling together, making sure that they get the calls right. Pitch is fouled away again.
You know, that's definitely what you want as an umpiring crew. You want to be a little low-key in a game. You want to leave and not be kind of seen, but you want to do your job and feel good about it.
During the regular season, most games are two-person crews. It's a three-person crew throughout the playoffs, but for the finals, they go to a four-person crew. The 2-2 is swung on. A soft chopper. Unruh knocks it down the circle. From her knees, fires it over to first, and the inning is over, but Needville tacks on another unearned run. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 costly error, and 1 left on base. We're through 2.5. It's Needville 4, Hargrave nothing. Back in a moment here on FoxSportsSouthwest.com. Coverage of the 2015 UIL Softball State Championships brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Visit your local Ford dealer now here in Texas. Great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. By DQ, the stop sign of Texas. For the best treats, eats, and drinks in Texas, stop at DQ. And by State Farm. Visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state. State Farm also our sponsor for the defensive lineups, and Ford for our player of the game and the starting lineup. Well, the player of the game coming up a little bit later on, along with our DQ, big play of the game. Fans out there trying to stay cool, along with some of the players. Field is nicely painted for the state championships, the big UIL logo with 4 rings out in center field. And then around the batter's box, the nice yellow ring, the on-deck circles, 1 in red, 1 in blue, and they actually got I like the color schematics. They got the red on the right side and the blue on the right side for the teams. Pitch taken here for a strike. It's 0-1 to Maggie McCloskey. McCloskey had an RBI single on Thursday and had 2 critical defensive plays, one with Snyder threatening in the second, one more later in the game that kept Snyder off the board. Pitch is fouled out of play.
Again, this at bat, McCloskey so far swinging the bat aggressively. To make that adjustment on not pulling off the ball. Keep that shoulder turned in and drive the ball in that direction.
So far, 68 pitches thrown by the pitching staff of Needville. Pitch here is lined down the left field line. Fair ball. Rounding first, digging for 2 is McCloskey, and she'll slide in there safely. McCloskey with a leadoff double. And for the second straight inning, Hargrave gets their leadoff hitter on board.
You know, and this momentum might shift a little bit. You're seeing her earn that hit this inning, you know. Take an extra base, anticipating that out of the box, and wind it up at 2.
Great replays there by our truck, headed by Matt Broussard. So that'll bring up Shea Watson, the first baseman. Watson was 0 for 3 in the game on Thursday. And what's interesting to note is looking through the history of the state championships in softball, Hargrave starts with the letter H, Huffman Hargrave. The last 6 teams that have made it to the state final whose school or town starts with the letter H have lost. It's kind of one of those statistical anomalies you'd only find in the Elias Sports Bureau.
Hopefully you didn't tell the coach that before the game.
Statistician Juliet handed that to me before the game. Appreciate her help. As again, the conference in the circle. Fan didn't have a hat, so he kind of invented one right there. I think we saw the same fan with the same hat on Thursday.
Yeah, it's creative use of the fan, I guess.
Again, Hargrave, the Falcons. They have the same logo as the NFL team. Pitch is a ground ball softly hit back to the circle and throw over to first in time for the out. Advancing to third is McCloskey. So Watson not able to get on base, but again, a quality at bat moving the runner over to third.
You know, a huge advantage here. You saw the pitcher feel the ball, not even look at the runner at second. When you have a 4-run lead, it gives you a lot more time, a lot more composure to be able to not worry about an advanced runner and get that out.
That'll bring up Devin Yanello, the second baseman. Yanello was 0 for 1 with a walk on Thursday. Pitch a little bit high for a ball. It's 1-0. Second straight inning that Hargrave gets the leadoff hitter to third. Couldn't score the first inning. We'll see what they can do in this inning. Pitch is hit high in the air, deep to left field. Going back as the left fielder makes the play. Nice spectacular play for the out, but McCloskey will tag up and score. And that will put Hargrave on the board at 4-1. Yanello with the sac fly. Great running there by McCloskey, waiting for the ball to be caught instead of getting too far off base and potentially getting doubled off.
You know, that's a great piece of hitting, but a great play in the outfield. She turns and runs, gets behind it. There's no chance she really has on that one on a tag runner. She's far enough back that all she needs to be focusing on is catching that ball.
So that puts Hargrave on the board. That is the second out. Bases are empty for Amber Philbrandt, the third baseman. Philbrandt 0 for 2. She's a commit to Laterno up in Longview. Pitch in there for a ball. It's 1-0. And we've seen in some of the earlier games in the tournament where runners will anticipate the ball not being caught and getting too far off the base. But in this case, McCloskey, perfect anticipation and was able to easily score. Run, by the way, is earned as the pitch here in the dirt, 2-0.
Yeah, in that situation, you have a routine sac fly situation. There's nothing else you can do. The ball is hit that far back. Unless you read the ball down, you're back on the bag, ready to tag.
Pitch is outside 3-0. And we've seen in several of these semifinal games where teams having trouble scoring runs all of a sudden find instant offense. Aledo was up 8-1 yesterday on Fort Bend. Ridgepoint came all the way back to 8-7. Aledo was able to hold them off. And then Louisville last night had no hit San Benito for 6 in the third inning. San Benito then got 3 hits and almost tied that game up. Pitch a little bit too far inside, ball 4, so a walk issued.
And, you know, I think that's what people want out of a championship-type game. You want to see teams battle back. You don't want to see somebody get goose egg. You don't want to see those things where you're not the no-hitters. As impressive as that is from a pitching standpoint, fans want to see the ball being hit, you know. They want to see big defensive plays. And, you know, that's what they've been getting at this state semifinal and finals.
Lindsey Thompson, the designated player, will come up next. Thompson, check that, Tomlinson 1 for 2 in the game on Thursday. So a runner at first with 2 outs here in the second inning. Run is in. Needville still leads it, though, 4-1. Pitch taken all the way for a ball, and it's 1-0.
And runner reaches base by another walk, and then a given runner on base, and we'll see what Hargrave does with it.
The pitch is swung on it high in the air, deep to left field, and it'll hook foul. Had the right idea, just in front of it a little bit too much. We saw Lindsey Clemmer of Snyder do that on Thursday. Nearly hit the home run, but it's just nothing more than a long strike.
Exactly. Now we're seeing what they want to do with it. That's a ball, again, if you're a pitcher, you have to think of it just as that. It's a long strike. Got a strike on the batter, and I need to do work to make that adjustment. If you're the hitter, feel confident from that, and know you got to get your hands inside the ball just a little bit more.
Does that give the hitter confidence because now they're at least making contact? Pitch is a soft popper and will roll foul, 1-2.
Yeah, and it definitely does give the hitter some confidence. You see there even the hitter just looking to make contact, knows there's a runner on, knows they want to take advantage of that, and also ready to swing the bat after you've hit a ball that far.
So the count is 1-2 with 2 outs. So the double by McCloskey, grounded over to third with a Watson ground out. You know, with the sac fly, Phil Brandt with a walk. Needville leading it 4-1 here in the bottom of the second. Pitch is way outside, 2-2. Throw down to first as Phil Brandt trying to induce a throw. And we've seen that so much where the runner's not necessarily trying to go for second, but trying to induce a throw.
You know, and that's one of those things that can be a huge plus if you're that catcher or you're that team, but it can also work against you if you let a ball get away.
Pitch is inside, hits her on the knee. So Tomlinson will take first base on the hit by a pitch. Each pitching staff has now hit a batter in the game. The inning will continue. We bring up now the top of the order. That's O'Neill. O'Neill walked, stole second, was left at third in the first.
Yeah, this is kind of the same thing we saw from Moreno the first game. She's been able to hold on to it a little bit longer. Not as much of the wildness that we've seen other than that right there. But we'll see how she comes back on this batter. You know, if you're Needville, you want to see her, and you're Coach Schmidt, you want to see her come back throwing right at her.
The pitching coach for Needville knows a thing or two about winning a state championship. Callie Falls, now Callie Croft, was the winning pitcher in that state championship. Pitch swung on, popped up in the air, and it will land foul and out of play. So even though the current players for Needville haven't been here in the Final Four playing for a state championship, both their assistants have been here.
Yeah, and you have that advantage of her being able to, especially as a pitching coach, talk to her pitchers, know what to expect, and kind of prepare them a little bit.
Mazak, by the way, said, yep, I'm going to show everybody the ring before they take the field. 91-09. Pitch here is a ball outside, 1-1.
That ought to give them a little motivation, don't you think?
You get the ring, you get the golden trapezoid. Hargrave on Thursday got the win, then they had their graduation ceremonies on the field. UIL does that for the schools that advanced to the state Final Four but missed their graduation. 1-1 is outside again, 2-1.
And what a unique experience that is. You know, you're playing the game you love, going for to advance on to the finals and getting your diploma on the same day.
We saw that with San Benito last night, even though they lost. We saw that with Huffman Hargrave on Thursday when they won. Winning the Golden Trapezoid is always nice, but the high school diploma will certainly take you farther.
Sure will.
Pitch taken all the way here for a strike, evens it up at 2-2.
Your senior base runners out there with Hargrave really getting in some aggressive leads, especially runner at first, taking almost half the way there, really trying to induce that throw behind the runner so they can advance further.
O'Neill does not have a home run on the season, does have 10 runs batted in. Pitch is a soft ground ball. Moreno will charge and throw over to first. Just in time, the inning is over. So again, Hargrave threatens but has to settle for one. They get 1 run on 1 hit. There were no errors. A hit batsman, a walk, and a pair left on base. We're through 2 complete. Our new score, it is Needville 4 and Huffman Hargrave 1. Back in a moment. Move to the third inning. A few fans keeping cool out in the outfield. Shade, certainly something that the fans would love, as it's 4-1 Needville. And as we talked about on Thursday, Harmony, by now the teams that are playing for the championships would have been used to the heat, having played throughout the month of May. But because of all the rain, the cooler temperatures, it's kind of a different take this year, playing now in the heat this year versus last.
Yeah, and you mentioned it also, this field is one that you do feel like you can feel the heat radiating up from the dirt especially. But it's definitely a different thing than they were playing in last week or 2 weeks ago.
Hine, Nolan, and Bachert, the 6, 7, and 8 batters scheduled to come up. Here's Hine, reached on an error first time up, and that allowed a run to score. Pitch is swung on and fouled away, and it's 0-1. Story in this one so far, a lot of walks, hit batters, and errors, and that's how we've gotten to 4-1.
Yeah, the score looks a lot different. You look at the hits, it's 3 hits for Needville, 1 for Huffman, and that's one of those things you look at and you think back to the first inning. You want to calm yourself before the game, but they're doing a good job of coming back.
Pitch outside, 1-1. How did you stay calm, or at least try to keep your team calm when they played in the semis both in 2001, 2002, and those 2 state championship games as well?
You know, I don't know if I'd use calm as an adjective that I ever was in a sense of my playing, but I definitely kept a calm mind. So just knowing that it was the same game we were playing as it was when we got there.
Pitch swung on, popped up in the air. Shortstop drifting back. KYLIE George easily makes the play for the first out.
You know, I think the big thing is the players have to focus on everything that they did to get here, all the practices, all the hard work, the fundamentals of the game. As soon as you go away from that, throw the ball, catch the ball, see the ball all the way in, all those fundamentals are what got you here. Keep using them while you're here.
Here's Taylor Nolan, the third baseman, struck out her first time up. What's unique about 4A as well is it's the only classification where you play the semis, but then you have a break of a day off before the finals. Pitch taken here for a ball, 1-0. So you have a day off, you have a chance to think about it and make adjustments, while the other 4 classes all play the semis, then turn around the next day and play the final.
And even rest your body a little bit. It's not that it's the one game doesn't take too much out of you, but the emotions do.
Pitch is popped in the air, fouled out of play. And that'll make it 1-1. Great crowd out here. We had a full house last night for San Benito and Louisville. Nearly full house here. Fans making the trip from Houston. Houston has already won 2 state championships this week in softball. They'll win a 3rd one here. Katie with a chance later on to make it 4 for Houston. Pitch swung on and missed here, 1-2.
Again, seeing Unro use the corners that umpire has given her and eat batters alive.
Both coaches alluded to the fact about how good Houston softball's traditionally been. Last year was an all-6A final between Deer Park and the Woodlands. Houston teams, when not playing Houston teams in the semis or finals this week, are 6-1. Pitch is a ground ball past the diving Unrose. Second baseman will knock it down, but will have no play. So an infield single for Nolan with 1 out.
You know, Nolan does a great job here. It's an inside pitch, really doesn't get enough inside of it, kind of jams her a little bit, but gets it through just enough to be able to get a base hit.
That'll bring up KYLIE Bachert, the right fielder, walked her first time up. Is Unro pitching through her first full inning of relief. Pitch taken here for a strike on the outside corner, and it's 0-1. Here in the 3rd inning, 4-1. Hopefully both teams' nerves hopefully beginning to settle down a little bit now that we've played a couple of innings.
It looks as though they have.
Bunt is shown, it's pulled back. They'll peel down to second to see if she went around. They'll say yes. Did not pull the bunt back in time, and it's 0-2. When you get to the state Final Four, you can be the best team in the state or one of those teams that had to be a Cinderella story, but it's always the great equalizer. Can you handle the pressure of being here going for the golden trapezoid? Pitch ball.
You know, that's a great point. It's anyone's game today. It's the team that shows up and plays the best all the way through 7 innings. That's one of the things I think Hargrave has to remember. Just because you have a bad first inning, yeah, you've dug yourself a hole, but you can get out of it.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Pitch taken all the way. Strike 3 called. And Bachert will head back to the dugout. 3rd strikeout by Unro. That'll be the 2nd out of the inning. That'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Casey Ramey, who popped out to the pitcher to end the 1st inning. Hargrave, the champions of District number 23 in Region 3. Needville won District 28. Here's a ball 1-0. Realignment moved LaGrange from Region 4 to Region 3. Hargrave beat LaGrange and their pitcher Marissa Zook, who had won 58 straight decisions twice last week. Snyder was the champion of Region 1, and Pleasant Grove out of Texarkana, Region 2. Strike here, 1-1.
You know, overcoming LaGrange after losing to them the year before that gives them confidence coming into your finals, your super finals, or super regionals too. So
there's a lot of college teams that would struggle to beat LaGrange. Pitch is lined foul out of play. One of those little half swings that you were talking about a little earlier.
Yeah, where you see the body working against your hands there, kind of just poking up, doing a good job of still keeping the bat on the ball, but to really get that fair, got to have the body and the hands going in the same direction.
Inning started with a Hine pop out. Nolan singled. Bockhurt struck out, and Ramey now with a 1-2 count. Pitch swung on and missed here, strike 3. So the 1-out single does not come back to haunt Hargrave. Fourth strikeout by Unruh. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. We are through 2.5 complete. Needville still leads at 4-1. Back in a moment here on FoxSportsSouthwest.com. Move to the bottom of the third inning. Needville leads at 4-1, their first empty frame of the game. Greg Sherman joined by former Smithson Valley High School star and Baylor All-American Harmony Schvetzhelm. Harmony, you are not wearing the state championship ring. I forgot to ask you on Thursday if you're going to be bringing that ring that you won in 01 with the Rangers.
No, I really thought about it, though, because I don't know when else I really wear it. It's a nice keepsake, but I don't get much wearing it any longer.
Janik, Dempsey, and George, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, as Moreno will come back out. Moreno struggled in the third inning on Thursday, did not make it through that inning. Janik grounded back to the circle her first time up, takes a ball here, and it's 1-0. Schvetzhelm, you can still find her name in the record book for most stolen bases, shared with several other players in Class 5A. Smithson Valley was in the second highest classification back at that time. Pitch is low 2-0. Record that stood for 13 years until it was broken last year. It was matched multiple times. It's got to be nice, though, opening up the media guide and seeing your name still in there.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see it. Like you said, it's been a while.
Pitch is high and inside for a ball, 3-0.
Stolen base is one of those things, though, that it's difficult to get more than 2 in a game. Just at this level. You know, at this level, your catchers are more on point, and you're a little bit less likely to steal.
Pitch taken all the way for strike 3 and 1. The record for most by an individual in a tournament, matched multiple times, including yourself. It was broken last year in Class 6A by Sydney Salmons of Conroe. The Woodlands had 4 and 1 Game 5 in the tournament. The Woodlands had 9 in their semifinal win last season. Pitch taken here, ball 4. And a leadoff walk for Janik. That'll bring up Dempsey, who popped out to second her first time up.
You know, these leadoff walks, these are ones that really can come up and bite you. Hargrave's doing a good job of, like we said, staying patient, knowing they have a deficit, but not having to do anything special. Each inning, try to just chip away.
And as the game goes on and the heat turns up in the sky, it's certainly going to be a lot more pressure on the pitchers. Pitch is low for a ball, 1-0.
especially once their pitch counts get up. You know, the fatigue starts setting in later in the game. The more you're making yourself throw, the longer you're staying out in the field, the more that's going to be a factor.
Orsak, the quality reliever for Needville, in case they need to go back to the pen. Pitch taken low for a ball. Throw down a second is running is Janik. Janik thrown out. Nice play there by the catcher. 2-6 on the putout, and Janik is out on the caught stealing. And the bases are now empty.
Yeah, this is a close one for sure. A great pitch, a change up to steal on. I really thought she got her leg in there, but you know, judgment calls there. You've got 3 base umpires out there. They make the call they see.
It's kind of close. Again, the umpires don't have the benefit of instant replay. It looked like the second baseman, Matula, kind of blocked the plate, being able to use her body to the advantage.
Absolutely, you know, and once you have the ball there, if the ball doesn't get there any earlier, she's called for obstruction for doing that, but that's what you want to do. You want to make sure you block that and don't let the runner get in.
Latanya Dorsey wants an explanation. Now, it's interesting with the umpires. In the regular season, you usually have only 1 in the field. In the playoffs, usually you'll have 2 in the field, but for the state championship game, you have 3 in the field, so it's kind of strange seeing a softball game where you actually have an umpire at second. You don't see the 2 field umpires rotating around.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I can see why Coach Dorsey's out there arguing this point. Again, umpires don't have the advantage of the instant replay. It looks like her foot gets in there. They're calling him as they see him, though.
The conversation between Dorsey and the second base umpire, Mark Gaskill, is over. Again, these are the best of the best umpires. A chapter from Fort Worth handling the game, also a alternate. So we actually have 5 umpires today, not in blue, but in the darker shades. Pitch is outside here for a ball, 3-0. So the base is empty now with 1 out in the 3rd. Pitch is high and away, ball 4. So as it turns out, if Janik had stayed at first, she would have ended up at second anyways.
Yeah, that's one of those things, hindsight. The defense right there did a great job of getting them out of that walk. You give them something, you take it back away from them. Miranda goes right back and gives them again. Let's see what Hargrave can do with this.
And Dempsey will be lifted for a courtesy runner. Again, she's a catcher, so she'll be lifted and come in. And coming in, looks like it's number 5, Cameron Taylor. Cameron Taylor did not play in the game on Thursday. So Dempsey will come out for the courtesy runner, will re-enter the game in the 4th. And what's the rule, I guess, on, it's different for pitchers and catchers versus the rest of the roster?
Yes, those are the only ones that can receive a courtesy runner.
Here's KYLIE George at the plate, struck out her first time up, laces it foul down the right field line. So the pitcher and catcher can re-enter, but if you have a pinch runner for any other position, that player is out of the game.
Well, once you enter the pinch runner and then pull them back out, or once you pull whoever was the hitter and then put them back in, if they get pulled again, they've then been exhausted for that game.
No balls and 1 strike to the shortstop, which is high and away for a ball, 1-1. There are also illegal pitches. It's the softball equivalent of a balk. We saw that a lot last year in the Vance Snyder game. In a nutshell, what is an illegal pitch?
Yeah, there's 3 different qualifications of that. The most common one probably is the crow hop off the mound, not keeping that back foot in contact and lifting up where you can see space in between.
Pitch is line foul again, out of play. I was talking to one of the coaches from this year's tournament that was also here last year, and she said it's kind of strange we're at the state tournament because in the regular season you're used to having only 2 umpires, but in the state tournament you have at least 3, so there's an extra umpire that can be watching out for those pitches.
Exactly, and that's one of those things that it does change the game a little bit, and even stolen bases, as we saw right there, there's more eyes out there looking for you.
The 1-2 pitch is outside, 2-2. So how does a pitcher adjust knowing that, well, there's extra eyes out there looking for it, so I can't do the same stuff I was doing back, let's say, in district play?
You know what, ideally your pitcher isn't thinking about that. They're throwing the way that they've been practicing. Ones that might have issues with it, it might get in their head and it might be a factor.
Pitch is swung on, hit in the air to center field. Backing up is the center fielder, and she'll make the nice catch. Great job there by the center fielder, BRISCOE, to make the second out of the inning. And like we saw on Thursday, the fielders keeping the ball in front of them and not letting it get over their head.
Yeah, outfield doing a great job of that, reading the ball right off the bat. That's a pretty solid hit ball. Center fielder, you see, stay very composed as the ball comes in, tracking it back, keeping it in front. You see her backpedal a little there, which you don't want to see as a coach, but she does a great job of keeping the focus there and seeing the ball all the way in.
There's Maggie McCloskey, who doubled and scored the only run of the game for Hargrave back in the second. Pitch taken all the way for a strike, and it's 0-1. The 0-1 pitch is swung through and missed 0-2.
There we're seeing her use her changeup, and it's as she's settled down a little bit and gotten her game, we've seen her use that off speed quite a bit. It's definitely something that can be very effective. And
the Viking is back out. Player wearing the Viking helmet. We saw a unicorn in one of the games on Thursday. It's a battle of the birds, but it's also a interesting battle of the wardrobes. McCloskey behind the count, 0-2. Pitch a little too far outside, 1-2.
That's a nice spot. What we're seeing here is Moreno being able to work ahead. She can do something. She can bring more pitches into her arsenal. When she does that, when she gets behind, she really has to bring the ball over the plate so that she can get called strikes.
Moreno threw 51 pitches in just 2 1/3 innings. There's the unicorn. There's our dugout reporter. Ground ball hit to short. Shortstop has it. Throws it over to first in time. The inning is over. Great play there by KRANEK. So a couple of walks don't lead to anything. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left on base. We're through 3 complete. Score remains Needville 4, Hargrave 1. Back in a moment here on Fox Sports. So we move to the 4th inning. More fans sitting underneath the shade. A few of the UIL officials underneath the shade, as it's already 91 degrees on the thermometer, one of the warmest days we've seen this year. It's 4-1 Needville as we move into the 4th inning. KRANEK, Matula, and BRISCOE, the 1-2-3 hitters. 3rd time in the game that the leadoff hitter in an inning is the leadoff hitter, number 1.
And I think that gives Needville a huge advantage. Obviously, she's at that leadoff spot for a reason. She mentioned she was one of the ones that's already been committed to one of the top schools. So they want her leading off. They want her starting that excitement and getting a little pop in their lineup.
KRANEK going to Alabama. First pitch taken here for a strike, 0-1. She has not had an official at bat so far in this one. Walked, stole a base, thrown out at home on a fielder's choice in the first. Reached on an error and scored in the 2nd inning. Was the last batter faced by Cates. Pitch a little bit too far in the outside corner. It's 1-1, so this will complete the first round of at-bats that Unroe has pitched to.
Yeah, and really this is, you're seeing, and you mentioned, not that many at-bats or no at-bats it's showing, but has done something every time and taken advantage of what she's been given.
Pitch hit in the air, foul down left field line. It will reach the seats. That'll make it 1-2. Great shot there of Amber Schmidt, again, an alumnus from Needville, played in the early 2000s. The farthest she ever got in the tournament as a player was the 3rd round. So she's been relying a lot on what Mazak and the pitching coach Croft, who both were part of the state championship team in '09, as Schmidt tries to win a ring for herself as the head coach.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage for her to have that on her staff.
Dempsey, by the way, did re-enter the game and is back at catcher. Pitch is fouled away, hits our crowd mic right there. We do know the mic is working.
Check.
So far, Hargrave's pitching staff already getting up towards 100 pitches. Pitch is popped in the air. Shortstop shading over towards the foul line, makes the play. Nice play there by George, and that'll be the first out of the inning. That'll bring up KYLIE Matula, the second baseman, walked and scored in the first, struck out in the second. Matula is a verbal commit to Texas State. Pitching coach at Texas State knows a thing or two about playing in this arena. That would be former Texas All-American Cat Osterman. Pitch outside for ball 1-0. In fact, Texas State played a game during the season here in Texas, and they beat the Horns.
Hey, that's a great thing. Come back, beat your home team right there.
Of course, as being a Baylor alum for you and an Oklahoma alum for me, we are completely neutral. Pitch is inside for a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, I come from a family of Longhorns, so it was a little bit of maybe a slap in the face a little bit to be wearing the green and gold. My family continued to wear their burnt orange and show support unless we were playing.
The great I-35 rivalry with Texas A&M now in the SEC. Bunt is laid down. It's foul. It'll be 1-2. 4 runs, 4 hits, no errors for Needville. 1-1-2 for Hargrave. The difference in the game, a 3-run first by Needville, in which walks, a hit batter, and an error led to those 3 runs. In fact, only one of those 4 runs scored by the Blue Jays is earned. Pitch, a ground ball pass under. That'll reach the outfield for a 1-out single by Matula. That'll bring up Caroline BRISCOE, the center fielder, has singled twice, scored once, brought home a run. As this is the 3rd round of at-bats for Needville, while Hargrave is still halfway through their 2nd round of at-bats, and here's a replay of that play.
You know, it doesn't try to do too much there. Just a simple base hit, getting runners on when we need them.
Righty against a righty. Pitch is a ground ball past the third baseman, who is moving up the line anticipating a bunt. Instead it goes past her into left field. So back-to-back 1-out singles, and Needville back in business.
Yeah, got a little bit of a late jump there at the third base. You know, usually, as you mentioned, she was playing up, ready for a bunt, and that one just got right by her. Great piece of hitting to come in and be aggressive, coming off of the base hit prior to her, and really putting it in the pitcher's head.
That'll bring up Megan Crosby, the catcher, reaching a fielder's choice, was lifted for a courtesy runner. Stavino in the first. Stavino ended up scoring. Crosby re-entered, struck out in the second. There's the sea of blue down the first base side. Winner of this one will win the state championship. If it's Needville, it's their 2nd in softball. If it's Hargrave, it's their 1st in any team sport. Pitch is swung on and fouled off the netting, out of play, and it's 0-1.
And again, you're seeing that aggression at the plate. That's exactly what you want. You know, you already have a lead, but you know you can't be settled with just a 3-run lead. Especially, you know, they have to have it in a little bit. You took what they gave you, but you want to go out and earn some of those.
94 pitches now thrown by the Hargrave pitching staff. Pitch is a little bit low and away for a ball, 1-1. Game's already an hour and 24 minutes old, and we're just into the 4th inning. Not too many more of those 90-minute softball games these days that we're used to because of all the offense.
It's definitely not as typical.
Pitch is swung on, hit down the left field line. Will it stay fair? No, it will not. You can see the indentation so close to hitting the line. You probably need to get a magnifying glass out there, but she didn't miss what would have been a double by more than about 6 inches.
Yeah, the ball just, you know, you got your runners moving. That ball's not going to be caught, but it definitely lands foul for the luck of Hargrave.
Centrifugal force working against Crosby on that one, but she had a long foul ball. I think it was her earlier in the game that nearly was a home run, and so these pitchers, or these batters, continuing to put good aluminum on the ball. Pitch, a ground ball to second. Second baseman fields it, has one play over to first in time. Not a sacrifice, but acts just like it. Crosby grounds out to second, moves the runners up 60 feet. So now second and third with 2 outs for KAEDRA FIEBRICH.
Yeah, Yanella over at second does a really good job of staying composed. You know, she bobbles the ball a little bit. You have runners on bases, and she still ends up getting an out there. Not a hard hit ball, but a lot of times when you have the runners going, you get distracted, they catch your eye. She does a good job.
Does the mind start moving faster when you're trying to get the ball and you see runners moving around?
Absolutely. It definitely doesn't start freezing for you.
FIEBRICH was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the first, counted as an RBI, and then grounded out to first to end the second. First pitch here is a ball, and it's 1-0.
You know, your best infielders and the ones that really make it to the next level are the ones that can keep that focus and know what to do with the ball when it comes to them, whether there's runners or not.
And the ball moves a lot slower than a baseball, so it's a lot harder to turn to than you could in baseball. Pitch, a little bit low. Catcher tried to frame it up, but the home plate umpire, Keith King, said no, and it's 2-0. Needville 3 in the first, each team with 1 in the second. We're at 4-1 here in the top of the fourth. Pitch swung on and missed here. That'll make it 2-1. And remember, Needville left the bases loaded in the first when they scored 3 runs. Otherwise, they could have had a lot more than just 3.
Yeah, that definitely could have been an inning that did a little more damage than it did. As you mentioned, 3 of those runs unearned, but they've come back and got a couple of earned ones and some hits on the board now.
Pitch on the outside corner, just misses for a ball, 3-1. Noelle Hine waiting on deck. Hine, of course, had the bases clearing 3-run triple in the semifinals that gave Needville the lead, and they ended up beating Texarkana Pleasant Grove. She'll come to bat if FIEBRICH is able to reach and keep the inning going. Pitch taken all the way for a strike. It'll make it a full count. Now in baseball, you can run a full count. Usually you'll run as soon as the pitch is thrown. What is the rule in softball?
If there's bases loaded or if you have a force, you're going to be going on the pitch. It's the same kind of thing. 2 outs. In this situation, when there's not a force, you're not going to see that. You might see them being a little bit more aggressive, though.
Could be a big pitch coming up here from Unroe. Payoff pitch is swung on, and she just barely got a piece of it.
You know, the biggest difference you see, you know, the leadoff in baseball and the leadoff in softball, the batter or the runners cannot leave the bag until the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, whereas in baseball, obviously, you have the freedom to move when and where you want. So that's going to be your biggest thing. Again, shorter base pass and everything, but that plays a factor.
So again, we'll do it at 3-2. Pitch is line foul, almost hit Amber Schmidt, the coach down at third base. Schmidt's still applauding, though, even though she almost got plunked on the leg by that ball. Now, does it hurt as much getting hit by a softball as it does getting hit by a baseball?
I have been hit by both. You know, baseball's a little bit more solid and smaller. It can come with more velocity, but it definitely does not feel good to get hit by a softball either.
Matula at third, BRISCOE at second. Again, the payoff pitch is on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. Late call by the home plate umpire. FIEBRICH strikes out. And Unroe able to get out of a jam, her 5th strikeout of the game. Needville threatens but cannot push any across. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left on base. We're through 3.5. Needville still leading at 4-1. Back in a moment here on Fox Sports. coverage of the 2015 UIL Softball State Championships here on Fox Sports, brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealers now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. And by DQ, the stop sign of Texas. For the best treats, eats, and drinks in Texas, stop at DQ. And by State Farm, visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state. All of our great sponsors that make our coverage here on Fox Sports of the UIL State Championships possible. We thank them very much for their support. Move to the bottom of the fourth inning. Hargrave will send up Watson, Yanello, and Filbrandt, the 6 through 8 hitters. First pitch to Watson is outside for a ball. 1-0. She grounded back to the circle her first time up.
Now, Hargrave really in need of some base hits right here. They've gotten a lot of runners on base with walks that have been given by Moreno, but they really only have one hit on the board still.
The windup. Pitch is high and away again for a ball, 2-0. 105 pitches already thrown by the Hargrave pitching staff. Right now, Moreno is just past the 60 pitch mark. Pitch is swung on, a high fly ball. It's playable into left center field. Left fielder, check that, the shortstop KRANEK comes over and makes the play for the first out of the inning. The rare fly out to short.
Yeah, KRANEK does a good job of covering a lot of ground there. You have your outfield playing a little deeper than usual. And really she's kind of passively coming in from center field, but has a lot of confidence, that says, in her shortstop, covering a lot of ground and getting under that ball.
That'll bring up Yanello. Yanello with the sac fly to left. Her first time up in the second, the only run of the game so far scored by the Huffman Hargrave Falcons. We had birds aplenty here in the Final Four here in 4A. We have Blue Jays, we have Falcons, we had Hawks with Texarkana Pleasant Grove. Seems more like an aviary than a softball tournament. Pitch low and inside for a ball. That'll make it 2-0. Of course, the other team, Snyder, were the Tigers. Chance of let's go Falcons from the audience sitting on the Huffman Hargrave side. Pitch swung on and fouled back behind the plate. Makes it 2-1.
Again, Moreno working behind batters, so having to really bring the balls. Once you're getting behind 2-0, you have to come in with a pitch that's going to be a called strike.
Stepping back in, as you know, the second baseman. Pitch taken all the way, a little bit low, makes it 3 balls and 1 strike.
The fans wanted that one, but again, we've seen the umpires in all these games really give the corners and work with both the pitchers and the hitters.
Makes it 3 balls and 1 strike. 1 out here in the fourth. Pitch is swung on, high fly ball to left. It'll stay in the park, playable to Ramey. Ramey makes a nice catch, so quickly 2 up and 2 down. And that is the first time all day that either pitching staff has retired the first 2 batters in an inning.
You know, that's a good piece of hitting there. It's a hitter's pitch. She knows she has to bring it. She's aggressively swinging. Hargrave just can't make it find a hole today.
That'll bring up Filbrandt, the third baseman, walked her first time up. Filbrandt, the commit to Laterno, located up in Longview. Pitch is high for a ball, 1-0. Harmony, how much do you hear the crowd, if at all, here in a stadium like this where the crowd is up instead of at your local ballpark where the crowd is on the same level as you?
It's definitely a different dynamic, both from a sight perspective and from a sound perspective.
1-0 taken all the way for a strike. 1-1. Is it louder, or how much do you notice the crowd noise?
Yeah, you know, I think some people can get in the zone and they really block that out, but it's definitely, if you sat there and took it all in, it's definitely louder. And I also think these are bigger crowds than they probably get at their other regular high school games.
Great shot by our cameraman down the third base dugout, John. 1-1, a little bit low, 2-1. Jack's over in the first base dugout, and Zach is out in center field. He's got the umbrella out. course, Bark McNeil has the best seat in the house from the camera's perspective because he's behind home plate and he's in the air conditioning up here with us. Pitch swung on and missed. Evens it up at 2-2, and dare I say, we are one strike away from a 1-2-3 inning.
And like you said, that would be the first time in this game completely.
Phil Brandt steps back inside. Pitch is high and away for a ball, 3-2.
Moreno still using that that curveball that she used in first game, working a little better for her today.
We just saw a shot of the state championship ring that CJ Mazak was wearing from 2009. That's what they're playing for. Payoff pitch is grounded foul down the third baseline. You get the ring, you get the golden trapezoid, you get the satisfaction of knowing that you did not lose your last game of the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's only a handful of people that can say that.
There's only two ways you don't lose your last game of the season: win the state championship or don't make the playoffs and you win your regular season finale.
Much rather be in their shoes who do win the championships.
Payoff pitch again is inside. Called strike 3. Phil Brandt thought it might have been ball 4, but it's strike 3. And hey, folks, we have a 3-up, 3-down inning. We're through 4 complete. Score remains Needville 4 and Hargrave 1. Back in a moment here on Fox Sports. Move to the 5th inning. It's still 4-1 Needville as both pitching staffs beginning to calm down. All the runs scored in the first 2 innings. Greg Sherman joined by Harmony Svetshelm, and Harmony usually the second time through the at-bats we see the hitters making the adjustments and getting the base hits, but in today's game it was the other way around where they were making doing most of the damage in the first set of at-bats.
You know, again, we also saw on the other side of that the pitching staffs a little shook up the first few innings, first times through the lineup, so they were giving them a lot. I think you've seen, again, the reverse of that in a sense of our pitchers have settled down, like you said. They're coming back. They're making the adjustments, working with what they know that the home plate umpire has given them, and they're doing a good job of it.
Here's Noel Hine, the designated player, reached on an error that brought home a run in the first and popped out to short in the third. First pitch is a ball, and it's 1-0. 3 of the 4 Needville runs unearned. Otherwise, we'd be in a 1-1 tie. Pitch is hitting the air to center field. Backing up quickly is the center fielder, McCloskey, and makes another nice catch. She's been doing that all throughout the tournament.
Yeah, and McCloskey, we talked to her after the game on Thursday. She mentioned how much of this team is really a family atmosphere. They play better as a family. They settle down. They have a good time, and they play with a lot of passion.
Again, some great camera shots from the field, showing the big crowd that has come out to watch this game. Here's Taylor Nolan, struck out in the first, singled in the third. Pitch is inside for a ball, 1-0. We've seen several games in these semifinals and other classes that had late inning heroics, teams making comebacks, so 4-1 lead looks good for now for Needville, but still a long way to go.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Needville's still swinging the bat like they know they need some more insurance runs. It's a game of softball. It can change in one swing of the bat.
Pitch swung on and missed here, 1-1. Back when you played, a 3-run lead, wasn't that usually pretty safe in softball?
I mean, definitely more than now. You know, it's more of a hitter's game when they've moved that mound back a little bit. It's changed the game a lot.
Pitch is swung on, popped up in the air, out of play, and two fans had a chance at it from the Hargrave side. Neither one of them were able to catch it.
I think that the heat is starting to play fatigue, at least on the fans. We have more people trying to defend themselves today than be a hero and catch the ball.
There was a San Benito fan yesterday in one of the day games. They had an umbrella up. The ball hit the umbrella, rolled underneath, and she caught it.
It's the assist, the umbrella assist.
Pitch is a ground ball pass. Unrow, shortstop, fires over to first. KYLIE George with another great defensive play. She's made 2 or 3 great defensive plays there and throws her out.
Nice defensive play by your shortstop, but also your first baseman. You'll see on the other end of this play, shortstop comes to get it, kind of gets a little bit of a wild throw, rush in the throw, and we get a stretch and maybe a needed stretch here by the first baseman. The other piece I love to see there is you see your shortstop follow her throw all the way to the bag and go and thank her first baseman for making a play.
That's Shea Watson over at first. So 2 outs for Bockhurt, the right fielder, walked in the first, struck out in the third. Pitch taken here for a ball 1-0, and after a couple of innings where neither team could really get solidly set on defense, it's kind of turning what you used to see in softball, where it's more of a pitcher's duel. Pitch is inside at the knees, 2-0. It's the Blue Jays and the Falcons. Needville, one of only a couple of schools in the state whose mascot is the Blue Jay. Pitch taken all the way, called strike here, 2-1.
You mentioned it, you know, the unearned runs. This game definitely has more of a feel of a 1-1 ball game than a 4-1 ball game, which it would be without the unearned runs in that first inning.
Again, a plethora of walks, errors, and hit batters in the first inning gave Needville 3 runs. Pitch here swung on and missed, 2-2. And now Hargrave with their chance to get their first 3 of 3 down inning here in the 5th. Pitch taken here for a ball, makes it a full count. Ramey, the number 9 hitter, waiting on deck.
We've seen Backward both today and on Thursday go back and forth between the slap and the full swing. Using the slap here, nobody on base, really trying to do some damage, put pressure on the defense.
So here comes the payoff pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Bockhurt strikes out for the second time in the game, and, well, a pitching duel is all of a sudden broken out as both teams go 3 of 3 down. We're through 4.5 complete, still Needville 4 and Huffman Hargrave 1. Back in a moment here on Fox Sports. Move to the bottom of the 5th inning, a 4-1 lead for Needville over Huffman Hargrave. The two fans from both fan bases running their banners through the concourse here, and they actually ran into each other. There's a shot of the Viking, more like the Minnesota Vikings, but and there's the that's probably the best hat you could have right now. I know a couple of our guys out in the field that are shooting probably could use that the helmet beverage cup I can't remember what it's called, but nice to see that old school tool back in use.
Yeah, using it for some Gatorade right there.
Lindsey Tomlinson will lead it off, the number 9 hitter. Maddie O'Neill and Demi Janik will come up after her. Tomlinson hit by a pitch in the second. Her only at bat so far in this one. Pitch is a swung on ground ball over to third. Nolan has it, fires across the horn to first. 1 pitch and 1 out. Go back to top of the order with Maddie O'Neill, who walked, stole a base, but was left at third in the first and grounded out in the second. Huffman Hargrave, by the way, has only 1 hit in the game. That was Maggie McCloskey leading off the second with a double and eventually scored.
And they continue to put the ball in play, but yeah, like I said, they can't find a hole. It seems that they need to do something to break that up a little bit. Maybe they'll get that here from their leadoff batter.
We saw KAEDRA no hit through 4 innings of their semifinal yesterday. They took advantage of Woodland's errors to score runs. Pitch way high and inside 1-0. A lot of these games this weekend, teams can't score runs for a while, and all of a sudden, boom, they put up a 4 or 5 spot, and the game changes dramatically.
This game has a tendency to do that. Like I said, one swing of the bat, one misplay, one error taken advantage of, and the game turns into something else.
Pitch is outside 2-0.
And again, this is often a point in a game where you're struggling to get some hits. You go back to your short game. You have a slapper up here. That's her job. Her job is to get it down, use her speed to get on base, manipulate the defense, put pressure on the defense, and try to get something going for your lineup.
2-0 pitch is low 3-0. And I guess how do you avoid, if you're Hargrave, forcing the issue? The outs are going to start, you're going to start losing the outs pretty quickly. He's getting late innings, but how do you avoid pressing and trying to play hero?
You know, you have to think of it one pitch at a time. One pitch at a time. That's all you can work with, and that's all you can really do to win.
3-0 pitch is outside, ball 4, and O'Neill will walk. That stops a string of 6 straight batters retired by Moreno. And here's Janik. Janik walked her last time up, was thrown out trying to steal second, and grounded out in the first.
You know, and I talk about it all the time when I'm coaching, and I look at it as a look to win each pitch. What can you do in the field? What can you do up to bat? And if you focus on that, you win enough pitches, you win a ball game, and it comes down to that.
Righty against the lefty with 1 out. Runner will take off for second, throw down to second, will hop in front of the shortstop. In there safely is O'Neill, her second stolen base of the game. So that puts a runner on second.
I believe she was one earlier also that got caught thrown out. I love to see the aggression that, if nothing else, Coach Dorsey, even after being thrown out, still sending runners, still being aggressive, and still trying to get runners in scoring position.
Well, Janik at the plate was the one who was thrown out. O'Neill has both stolen bases.
Good catch.
She's only 1 away from tying the record in this classification. Bunt is laid down, then it hits the bat again. Throw down the first. Well, the ball hit the bat, went into fair territory. As she laid down the bat, the bat hit the ball again. Is that like a double hit in golf, or what is it?
It ends up just being, it should be a dead ball at that point. If the ball's still in her hand and she's still in the box, again, it'll go down as a strike on the batter. If the bat is outside of her hand and it rolls back to hit it, it's in fair play. It should be playable.
And all 4 umpires will get together again. So based on what you saw, what should the ruling be?
I believe the bat was, or the ball here, we'll be able to catch it on the replay and be able to see it again. I think the bat was still in her hand. Again, as long as they rule her to be still in the box, it should just be a strike on the batter. She should come back into the box.
Umpires will talk about it. By the way, the state record in this classification for stolen bases, Kobe Barker has it from Paris North Lamar, set that in 2010. For a tournament, Barker has the record shared with Sherry Boland from Mount Vernon from 1995.
I believe the ruling on the field is that is a foul ball. That is a little bit interesting. Again, I think that dead ball is what I would have thought it was, but either way it goes down as the same thing. It's a strike on the batter and an attempt at the ball, and we are in the same situation as we were before. This
should be a great angle of it. Hits the ball. It actually hit the bat. You can see that the ball hit the ground, then bounced up and hit the bat. And in golf, if you do that, that's considered a double hit, and they give you a penalty for that.
Yeah, again, the ruling here, to me, the discrepancy here is whether or not she was in the box when the ball hit the bat again. If she's out of the box, then she would be called out. If she's in the box, it's a foul ball. If the ball, again, hits the bat when it's not in her hands, it should be a live and playable ball. It's now part of the field as long as it's not attached to her body still.
So they got the call right?
It looks as if they did.
So the count is 1-1 to Janik. Pitch is outside. They'll throw down to second, and ball skips away from the second baseman. And again, one of those plays where the Hargrave player not necessarily trying to steal third, but just trying to hope for an overthrow or a wild throw.
You know, and Crosby's continue to be aggressive, and you can. Again, you have a 4-1 lead. You can continue to go at those runners. You have to be aware, though, if that runner sees that early, a delayed steal can happen.
Throw down to third as the pitch is taken. Safe at third is Maddie O'Neill. Maddie O'Neill has just tied a state record in this class with 3 stolen bases.
And this is a great read by the coach. You know, you have a bunt situation, your third baseman's playing up. In those situations, typically your shortstop is running over, so it becomes a foot race. Can your runner beat the shortstop to the bag? And that's exactly what we saw here. Her sighting and safe. It's a bang-bang play, and it goes to the advantage of the offense.
Pitch, by the way, was a ball, so it's a 3-1 count. Pitch is taken for a ball 4, so now runners at the corners with 1 out, and here's Loren Dempsey in 1 swing of the bat, and we have a tie ball game. And let's look at that steal one more time, as this is a state-tying steal right here, her 3rd steal.
And you know, there she does a great job of holding on to the bag, first with her hand, then with the rest of her body, and at the very end, just with her toes.
There have only been 2 players that have had 4 steals in a game. Sydney Salmons last year was the other. Now, of course, you stole several bases as well, and when Smithson Valley was in Class 5A, the class that they used to be in before they moved to 6A, when you're stealing all these bases, does that give the runner confidence? Does that kind of give the catcher a little bit of de-confidence, or how does that work?
You know, what it does is it definitely, as long as you're on the base with that confidence that you can run, you know you can run, you know you can be sneaky with the slides and the leads, you put a lot of pressure on a catcher. That pressure on a catcher, especially one that's eager to throw, will lead to bad throws, will lead to bobble balls, and will also lead for her to have to jump out and not frame pitches any longer. So it really affects all areas of a catcher's game. It's a great thing. I mean, you know, that's a big thing that I push when I'm coaching, when I'm working with kids. Be aggressive on the bases. Doesn't matter if you have speed or not. You have to have the catcher looking at you at all times.
6th walk now issued by Moreno, so 1st and 3rd. As I mentioned, here's Dempsey, chance to potentially tie the game with 1 swing of the bat. Pitch taken for a strike, throw down to second, and the runner will get in safely. And that may have been one of those more where they were trying to prevent the runner from third coming home, so another stolen base. Not sure if we have the team record for most stolen bases in a game. It's not listed in our program, but that's now 4 stolen bases by Hargrave. Pitch, by the way, was a strike, so it's 0-1. Pitch is laced into left field. That could be trouble. Gets over the left fielder's glove. Stolen bases will come back to help Hargrave. O'Neal scores. Coming in to score and sliding awkwardly is Janik. Looks like she's up okay, maybe limping a little bit, but it should be a double for Dempsey, and now it's 4-3.
And we've got a game right here. You know, like I said, use your short game, use your aggressive base running to get you back in it, and then let your hitters hit. Finally finding a hole right there, great piece of hitting, and really left fielder's trying to go back on that, gets a glove on it and gets it in pretty quickly, but not quick enough to not let 2 runs pass.
And O'Neal did something great. It won't be shown on the, it won't go in the scorebook as it, but she went back to 3rd, anticipating the ball was going to be caught. That way, if it was caught, she'd be able to tag up and score.
Absolutely, that's exactly what you want from your base runners. You know, it's very easy to, as soon as you see a ball hit hard, want to run, but at that point, you got to get back to the bag to tag. You're in either way.
Well, we're going to get a pitching change. Michaela Orsak, who already has 3 wins in relief in the playoffs, including 1 on Thursday. She will come in and relieve Moreno. Runner on second, so it is technically a safe situation, even though we still have several innings to go. Orsak on Thursday pitched 4 2/3 innings, getting the win, giving up 2 runs, 1 earned on 3 hits, walked 1, struck out 1. Faced 21 batters and threw 68 pitches. So something we're not used to seeing in a softball state championship game where both teams go to their bullpen.
Absolutely not. You know, saves are really more of what you see in a baseball game where it's a longer game, and they play a lot more games on the season. But this is a situation we saw her do very well on Thursday. Came in a lot earlier than you'd expect a saver to have to come in, and threw a full game of relief. You know, she did a great job. Came in with confidence, and I think she's going to do the same thing here. You know, she has a game under her belt doing it, coming out with the win, and we'll see how she plays it here.
Get to the final stats in just a moment for Moreno. Moreno threw 4 1/3. She is eligible. I believe she is eligible for the win because if you play 7 innings, it's 4 out of 7. Correct?
I believe we're in the 5th here, so I'm not certain if it's which one would get the win there. That one, we'll have to go to our statisticians on that one.
Not sure if I know in college, who's ever the pitcher of record in the 5th, if you play 7 innings, is the pitcher of record. First batter she'll face is KYLIE George, a strikeout and a flyout. She's had a lot of defensive plays here that have been great. Takes a strike here, 0-1, and this is a brand new ball game.
Yeah, you know, the momentum, you're feeling the momentum shift. You're hearing the crowd even shift. Hargrave's got that momentum going, and they have the sticks in their hands still.
Pitch taken outside for a ball. So the aggressive base running, stolen bases, 3 in this inning, and that has yielded 2 runs, still only 1 out. Dempsey is credited with a 2-run double. Janik looked like she was okay hobbling off, coming off the field. She slid awkwardly. Pitch swung on, hit in the right center field. This could be trouble. It will drop for a base hit. And aggressive base running will allow George to take second. Cameron Taylor did, by the way, come on to pinch run for Dempsey, and she took third. Dempsey had to wait to see if the ball was going to be caught, so the pinch runner Dempsey had to hold up at third. Ironically enough, if she'd been running on contact, you would never advise it with 1 out. She would have ended up scoring.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of base running how-tos here. You see something behind you. Anything, when you're running on second, any ball behind you, you got to get back to tag. It does limit her a little bit. If she's hauling off and running, she probably scores. But in the other way of that situation, if that ball's up and gets caught, you're now doubled out and out of the inning. So great base running. You bring in a pinch runner, that's what you want out of them. All too often, you don't get it because they're not in the game. So great job as a pinch runner and great piece of hitting right there.
Still waiting to determine if it is a single or a double. Will be a hit no matter what. So George is at second, the tying run at third, go ahead run at second. Here's Maggie McCloskey, doubled and scored in the second, ground out in the third. They have called it a single. There'll be no error. So it'll be a single in the advance. George to second on the throw home. Pitch is fouled off the screen. Now leaving it up at 1-1. And boy, Hargrave's got to be thinking right now, if we wouldn't have made those mistakes, the walks, the errors, and the hit batter in the first, we'd be up right now.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure that's in their mind, but right now I think they're fueling off of what they have and the spark that started.
Pitch is fouled away, out of play.
You know, the mind game comes in more on the Needville side. You know, they had control of the game. They have a 4-1 lead. Even though a lot of those unearned runs, they still had a command of that game. And this is a feel, and this is one of those things where they have to dig down and make sure that they don't get back on their heels, that they continue to attack and they continue to their game plan.
1 ball, 2 strikes to count. By the way, this all started with 1 out. The first 2 batters walked, and they eventually came around to score. Pitch is fouled out of play again. And we've seen this all tournament where pitchers give up walks, and oftentimes those are lethal because those batters end up coming around to score.
Yeah, you can't say it enough, and I know pitchers, that's what they're working on. They're working about getting ahead on batters so you can go to pitches that you want to throw, and working on keeping the walks and batters off the bag if you can.
Moreno pitches 4 1/3 innings through 88 pitches, walked 6, struck out 2, gave up 2 hits, and now is going to be charged with 4 runs because the base hit will tie the game up. Rounding third and heading home is George, and Huffman Hargrave once trailed 4-0. They come all the way back to take the lead. 2 RBIs for McCloskey. McCloskey may be in contention for the tournament MVP.
Again.
And there's some conversation going on down in the huddle down there.
Yeah, there was a contact at the plate. The catcher was blocking. There wasn't a slide there, and there was a clip at the plate on the throw coming from home that seemed to frustrate the runner.
Yeah, that's a this is the state finals, and obviously nobody ever wants to have that happen. There are obstruction calls, but that really was an obstruction there.
And not even just the obstruction. It looked like she threw her elbow into it, and that's something that, not that you don't want to see in the state finals. You don't want to see that ever in the game of softball. Tensions are high, but the ball's not even there. She doesn't have a play there. The catcher's used to go into that tag, but without the ball in the picture, she's got to get out of the way.
Is that an ejectionable offense?
To me, one of those things, if you deem it as intentional, absolutely.
Well, that now changes things. Savannah Cates is now off the hook for Hargrave. Moreno is charged with that run, with the first run that makes it 4. She will pick up a no decision. Orsak, I don't know if a blown save is an official stat in softball, but if it is, she does get a blown save. And she now becomes the pitcher of record. Back to action here. Shea Watson fouls off the first pitch, 0-1. So neither starter now will will get a decision, although one of them could re-enter the game. We saw that last year in the semis with Snyder. Pitch, a soft ground ball. Shortstop can't handle it. And McCloskey's going to end up at third, and ending up at second is Watson. It's going to be a tough play no matter what for the shortstop, so we'll have to wait and see the ruling. But again, we have another state tournament game where a team has a multiple run lead and they cannot hold it.
You know, and I just mentioned this before this last batter. Hargrave putting the pressure and keeping the pressure on Needville. You know, it's a hard thing to do. You start off with a 4-1 deficit, you continue your game plan, and you're now putting that pressure back on Needville and late in the game. This is when you want to have it. You want to have the momentum at this time. You want to continue to put it on there. You know, you have your foot on the accelerator. You want to floor it at this point.
Well, since Tomlinson grounded out to start the inning, it's been O'Neill walk, 2 stolen bases, Janik walk, stolen base, Dempsey 2-run double, George with a single, McCloskey 2-run single, and now Watson will be credited. It'll be a straight single. So no errors. She'll advance to second on the throws around. No errors. The runs, all of the runs in this inning are earned and good. Here's Devin Yanello. Yanello is sack fly and a straight fly out. And the crowds are certainly getting into this one as the first pitch here is a ball.
And again, you're kind of seeing the frustration on Needville. You're seeing them look a little less confident, and really this is the time they got to buckle down. Hargrave's going to continue to go, and those adjustments have paid off for him.
So the world of softball, again, 1 inning changes everything. We've seen that so much here in the tournament. Pitch, ground ball, shortstop knocks it down, has only 1 play over to first for the out in time. Run scores, throw down to third is in time. So Watson is thrown out trying to take third. She'll be retired 3-5. McCloskey scores. Yanello will get an RBI ground out. The inning is over. It is now 6-4 as 5 runs come to the plate. They're all earned on 3 hits, no errors, 2 walks, and the bases are left empty. So it is 6-4. The run does count. And we'll be back with more softball in just a moment here on Fox Sports. Well, the fortunes can change for 2 teams in the span of 15 minutes as 5 runs come across for Hargrave. They were all earned on only 3 hits, a couple of walks. Here's a look at that last play. The ground out to first, run scores, and then Watson is thrown out trying to take third. So McCloskey run is good. You give Yanello the RBI ground out. Watson retired 3-5. So 5 runs on 3 hits, no errors, but 2 costly walks, and nobody left on base. And, well, Harmony Schwetzhelm, welcome to the world of New Age softball where no lead is safe.
No, I love it. You know, this is exciting softball. We're seeing a little of everything today. You know, you see pitchers struggle, you see pitchers come back and do great. You're seeing a lot of relief work here, and we're seeing batters that are coming in and making adjustments, and it's paying off now here in the 5th and the 6th inning, we'll see.
Well, Ramey, KRANEK, and Matula will be the scheduled hitters. Now Needville, only 1 of their runs out of the 4 they're able to manufacture. Let's see what they can do now, having to potentially have to manufacture their own runs as Megan Unroe comes back. Bunn is laid down foul 0-1, and now Unroe, who was the loser in the semifinal last year, is now in line to get the win, although we still have a long, long way to go.
Yeah. We saw what happened last inning. You know, we still got 2 more innings to play.
One is a ground ball, third baseman fields it, fires over to first in time. Nice play there by Phil Grant, even better play by Unroe to duck down and let Phil Grant throw her out.
Absolutely. You know, these are things, again, they're feeling it now. You can see them vibing. There's no hesitation. Coming up right here, being aggressive, pitcher getting out of the way and getting the out.
And boy, have things changed, as Needville was 8 outs away from the state championship. Now Hargrave 5 outs from the state championship. That'll bring up top of the order with CRANEK. CRANEK has walked, reached on an error, scored a run, and stolen a base. Bunt is laid down. It's a nice bunt. Catcher's going to charge. Throws over to first. Not a chance to get her. CRANEK speed and a good bunt laid down. It's an infield single.
You know, that's a beautiful bunt. We've seen her do a lot of different things. She's got a lot of tools in her box. She throws down a bunt. She's line drive. She's slapped a little bit. Full swung. Great bunt right there. There's no possibility of anybody getting her out.
By the way, the 5 state championship games last year, the fewest combined runs scored by the 2 teams was 7. Again, welcome to the new age of softball with the 43-foot circle. Pitch here to Matula. Taken for a ball. It's 1-0. Matula has walked, scored a run, struck out, and singled. And again, you take out the first inning where Hargrave pitched themselves into a jam, they'd be up 6-1.
Yeah, and it looks like a completely different ball game.
Pitch taken for a strike here, 1-1. So the aggressive base running, although as everything played out, the stolen bases wouldn't have mattered because those runners would have scored, but that at least set the tempo.
It absolutely did. That's what I was going to say. You know, it's not about would they have been there anyways. It's how much pressure. What does that do mentally to the other team?
Next pitch is swung on, fouled away, as heading for second was CRANEK. She'll have to go back to first. Those stolen bases, it's still a long way to figure out our DQ play of the game. Those stolen bases may not necessarily show up there on the line score as big plays, but as you said, it sets the momentum, sets the tempo, and after they start stealing bases, the floodgates open for the Falcons. 1-2 the count here in the 6th, 1 on, 1 out. Pitch is swung on, fouled off again, and again, CRANEK was running on contact.
Yeah, you're seeing Needville be in a similar situation, trying to use that aggressive base running, the short game a little bit, to advance and put the pressure back on Hargrove.
And it won't take long for Needville to be potentially short on outs. Pitch taken here, strike 3 called. Matula strikes out, and that'll be the second out of the inning. And Megan Unroe, I think, depending on how things go, she may be our candidate for the player of the game, as she has come on and just shut down the Blue Jays.
Yeah, what a great job. Really has come in and pitched almost the whole game, really. Has a lot of pitches under her belt and is still firing.
6 strikeouts now for her. That'll bring up Caroline BRISCOE, who has singled 3 times, scored once, and batted home a run. Pitch is swung on, hit down the right field line, just foul. We saw that with the Needville game on Thursday. Reliever came in, got the win, and we're seeing that here. Reliever comes in for Hargrave and is able to keep Needville in check long enough for the Falcons to finally get their bats going, courtesy of the walks.
You know, and having some depth like that with a pitching staff, and even though we're only talking about 2 pitchers in high school, you might just have one. You might have 1 ace, and you really don't have much to go to. We're seeing basically a situation where both teams have 2 aces they could throw.
Pitch taken here, throw down to second is not going to be in time. Ball hops, and CRANEK in with her second stolen base of the game. Pitch was a ball 1-1, so a whole bunch of stolen bases all over the place. Throw is a little bit short. Does that happen a lot in softball? You see stolen base after stolen base?
You know, honestly, that's the softball I'm used to. I've not seen it a lot at a lot of levels. They seem a little hesitant, but I love to see it here today.
Count is 1-1 with 2 outs. Pitch swung on and missed. That'll make it 1-2. Hargrave has never won a team state championship in any sport. We pointed out the statistical quirk where schools that have the letter H as their first letter in their name have lost 6 straight softball state championship games, including this year. Hargrave trying to end that unusual drought. The 1-2 pitch is outside, 2-2.
Yeah, Hargrave showed up today to change a couple of things. I guess looking for their first championship as a school, what a special thing that is. But also, again, that other the oddity of the H plagues.
By the way, each team, their last letter is E. It's only the second time ever we had a state championship game where both schools ended with the letter E. Pitch swung on here and fouled away. There's a lot of people that like to sit down and look at the Elias Sports Bureau every morning because you see the out of those weird stats. There's always, no matter what the sport is, no matter what the level is, there's always one weird stat, and Jeff Power, who'll be on later on, can attest to it. There's always one odd stat that can predict how a game will go, even though the weirdest stat that you wouldn't expect.
You know, and kudos to those who can find those things and pick them out. That's definitely not the way my brain works, but it's a fun fact to know.
My statistician, Juliet, picking up those stats. 2-2 the count here. Pitch is swung on and fouled away again.
You know, we've seen this from Needville all day long. They're having a hard time making the adjustment on getting their hands inside the ball. We've seen a lot of foul balls down the left line. Unfortunately, a ball you can't get your hands inside of, those pitches, those balls are never going fair.
This game's still far from over. One swing of the bat, we'd re-tie it up. Pitch on the outside corner, misses, full count. Not sure what the record is for the largest come-from-behind win in a state championship game. Needville was up 4-0. Of course, in the old softball days before the circle moved back to 43 feet, a lot of games wouldn't even see 4 runs. So a full count, CRANEK at second. Pitch is swung on, popped up in the air, and again, that'll be out of play. And a fan finally makes the catch there. A fan from Flatonia tipped it around a little bit, finally makes the play.
Yeah, the fans feeling the excitement, too. They're trying to get in the game.
They're even making the catches now as well. By the way, back in 2000, all 4 schools in Class 4A, their last letter in their school name ended in E. Kennedale beat Devine that year. The other schools were Bowie and LaGrange. Payoff pitch again is swung on and chopped foul off of BRISCOE, and we'll do it again.
You know, you mentioned the rubber band move back. You know, that additional 3 feet really does change dynamic. It allows the hitters to see the ball more, but what you do also see on the other side of that is they're having a hard time being patient and letting the ball get to them. So you see a lot of foul balls down the left field line. They got to do a better job of letting that ball get deeper and driving it up the middle.
So again, a full count. Unroe in the stretch, the pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3, back-to-back strikeouts by Unroe. She's 3 outs away from winning the game, 7th strikeout for her. So a 1-out single does not do anything for Needville. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. Hargrave 3 outs away from the state championship. They'll get a chance to add insurance in just a moment here on Fox Sports. Coverage of the 2015 UIL Softball State Championships here on Fox Sports, presented by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. By DQ, the stop sign of Texas. For the best treats, eats, and drinks in Texas, stop at DQ. And by State Farm, visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state. Well, we'll have our DQ big play of the game and our player of the game coming up in a little while, built by Ford, but with so much action still to go, still may have to wait to see what happens. Phil Brandt, Tomlinson, and O'Neill, the 8-9-1 hitters, will lead it off. Hargrave now looking for some extra insurance, and as we've seen throughout the tournament and today, you can never have enough insurance. Pitch inside for ball 1-0. Phil Brandt with a walk and a strikeout.
You know, when you're looking at a game and it's on us to try and think of a player of the game, you know you're watching a good one when that's a struggle.
Needville scored 3 in the first, 1 in the second to take a 4-0 lead. Huffman Hargrave 1 in the second, then 5 in the fifth. to take the lead back. Pitch swung on, popped up in the air, and fan not able to make the play. So we'll stay at 1-1.
Hargrave really in a position here, as you mentioned, to get some more insurance runs, you know, really continue to pound it in, and not just for that momentum keeps, but also to get some extra runs on the board.
Well, the final scores in the last 3 state championship games in this classification. 1-1 here, swung on, a pop-up in the air, shortstop shading over to the right. That's KRANEK, makes the play for the first out. That'll bring up Tomlinson. Tomlinson hit by a pitch and a ground out. The last 3 scores in this classification state championships, last year was 7-3. The year before that, 12-9. Year before that, 8-4. As ever since the mound moved back to 43 feet, we've gone from the 1-0, 2-0 extra inning games to the slugfests.
Yeah, more like a baseball score. What is your more traditional baseball score?
Yankees, Red Sox. Pitch is outside for a ball, 1-0. So far, Unruh has come in, struck out 7, is not allowed a hit, or excuse me, not allowed a run. And really was able to keep the bats in check from Needville's side long enough to allow her own team to get back into it. Pitch is outside again for a ball, 2-0. Theme of this game, the walks have come around to score. Pitch is swung on, hit in the air, deep to left center field. That's going to drop for potentially extra bases. Tomlinson will be at second with a stand-up double, and with 1 out, Hargrave looking to try to manufacture extra insurance.
Yeah, and again, I can't say enough about how the keeping that momentum going, keeping it in Needville's head, that their six aren't stopping. Gets a great pitch inside and drives it. No question here, a base hit and a stand-up double.
Each team has had 2 batters that walked eventually come around to score. So that'll bring us to the top of the order. Here's Maddie O'Neill. She has walked twice, tied a state record for this class with 3 stolen bases, and also has a ground out and a run scored. Will lay down the bunt, pops it over the catcher's head. Catcher not able to make a play, and it's 0-1.
And we've seen this a couple of times. We have an attempted bunt. A lot of times that batter is trying to get down the line too quickly. In this situation, especially trying to move a runner over, take the time, see the ball down, see the top half of the ball, then get out of the box.
Loren Dempsey had a 2-run double to make it 4-3, and then a 2-run single by McCloskey gave him the lead. And then, you know, with an RBI groundout, gave him some insurance. Pitch misses here, 1-1. We've been thinking in our booth and in the truck about who would be the player of the game and the play of the game, but there's still so much action left. You could literally be down to the final out. We saw that last night with Louisville and San Benito, where they were down to their final out, and the action was just beginning. Some of the youngsters trying to cheer on the Falcons on to victory. Bunt is laid down, perfectly played. Catcher has only 1 play, Crosby over to first, not in time. And George is going to take off for second as nobody's guarding second. So it'll be an infield hit for O'Neill. And O'Neill will take second.
You know, this game really playing out. You know, Hargrave doing a great job of taking what's given. You see here a perfectly placed bunt. I don't know they have a shot for. Catcher does a great job popping out. And then getting 2. Nobody's covering. That's your bag.
I said George, I meant O'Neill. O'Neill, it's not an official stolen base, but she just she watched all the infielders except the first baseman collapse on the plate, and nobody was there at second. Time calls, Amber Schmidt will come out and talk to her pitcher.
You know, Coach Schmidt here really trying to make sure and kind of calm down. We're seeing a pitching change actually here. Getting Moreno back in the game, trying to change and shift back momentum towards their favor.
Well, Moreno will come back in. Moreno's already pitched once in the game. We see this all the time in softball where pitchers will come in, will start, come out, and come back in.
You know, and I mentioned it earlier, and that's really, you know, when you're pulled out of the game, most of the time your pitching coach is talking about just that. What can we do right now in case we need to bring you back in to fix whatever wasn't working? What can we do? Make sure your mind's right, make sure your pitches are right, and then go at them when you have an opportunity.
So Moreno charged with all 4 runs that Needville has scored. Orsak is still the pitcher of record. Orsak goes 1 inning. Faced 7 batters through a total of 21 pitches. No walks allowed, no strikeouts. So I was giving up 2 runs for now. They're all earned on 5 hits and is responsible for everybody on base. So unfortunately, Orsak on Thursday, on Thursday she was able to pitch out of a jam, get the win. Unfortunately, today for her, was not able to do that.
You know, and I really would tribute Hargrave's batters more than even her. She came in, tried to do her job. They're just swinging the bats well.
Janik walked her last time up and scored. Ball is fouled away. It's 0-1, so runners at second and third, 1 out.
Seeing her pitcher here, I love seeing this, you know, really rallying the team, trying to get the energy behind her. She's doing the job physically and also trying to do it emotionally there.
The 0-1 pitch. Tying inside for a ball, 1-1. Again, not sure if in softball it's an official stat, and in baseball, blown saves, Orsak would have one if it is an official stat. If it's not, she was pitching with the lead. Runners were on base and scored that were not her responsibility, but she ended up giving up the lead, and right now would be on the hook for the loss. 1-1 is low and away for a ball, 2-1.
Again, Needville finds themselves in another high-pressure defensive situation. Got runners, 2 runners in scoring position, and a short game batter up to bat.
2 balls, 1 strike. Tomlinson at third, O'Neill at second. The pitch is grounded past the third baseman in left field for a base hit. 1 run scores, taking off for second will be Janik. She'll get in. So an RBI single for Janik. Aggressive base running puts her at second. And they're going to call an out, it looks like. Hang on a second. Looks like an out has been called. What do we have?
What happened right there, and it's a great call by the umpire. I missed it completely live, but if you saw on the replay, when the batter slapped the ball, she was stepping on the plate, home plate that is. In that, she is automatically out.
So everybody's going to have to reset back to where they were at on the play right there. We'll show it again.
See here, right here, her foot goes down straight in the middle of the plate. Like I said, great call by the blue. He immediately calls time. Guess the excitement didn't catch on what his call was, and it's a little more disappointing than it might have been if they'd have heard it right away.
And that's one of those that you're not really anticipating in a state championship game. Keith King is the home plate umpire. He worked a state championship game at the plate last year. He's one of the veterans, one of the great umpires here that Tasso has.
No, I mean, like I said, that's a great heads-up call. If I'm the batter, I'm probably frustrated too, but when I go back and look at it, I completely understand what that is. The batter's there trying to be aggressive, attacking an outside pitch like she should. She just gets a little too far outside of the box.
Game coming up on 2.5 hours right now. So Tomlinson goes back to third, O'Neill at second. So Janik is out. That'll bring up Loren Dempsey, 2-run double her last time up, so it is 6-4. Great job by our truck there to catch that as well. Scoreboard up here finally resets out in left center field. Dempsey for a strike, 0-1, and now you wonder if maybe that could potentially shift the momentum back.
You know, it can definitely do that. It's just how do you handle that as a batter, as this next batter coming up, how do you take that and use it as fuel to get you going?
Second and third now, 2 out. Pitch is swung on and fouled away, 0-2. Needville in the 7th inning. The scheduled hitters, the middle third of the order, Crosby, FIEBRICH, and Hine. No hits between those 3 batters, but a hit by a pitch, an error, and a fielder's choice.
You know, and if you're Needville, you look at that as any momentum shift is what you're looking for here, and you'll take it.
0-2 is outside, 1-2. Needville needs runs. They're going to need at least 2, plus any more, if any, come in here in the 6th.
Exactly, and how can they capitalize off this? That was something taken back, gives them a better opportunity. What are they going to do with it?
In terms of 7-inning games, this will end up being one of the longer state championship games. The 1-2 skips in the dirt. Good job there by Crosby to stop it from going behind her. And it's 2-2. 90-minute softball games, those are so 10 years ago. Now we have the 2.5-hour games that just go on and on and on.
Exactly, unless you got a time limit game, it's going on longer than 90 minutes.
Fans getting their money's worth. 2-2 pitch, swung on and skied foul out of play. You'll be able to catch a replay of this game here on Fox Sports. Replays all throughout the month of June, all 5 state championship games for softball. Check your local listings. Also, check out Jeff Powers' documentary on the Ennis Lions. It's already begun running here on Fox Southwest. Did a great job with that. So the 2-2 pitch again is swung on. A fly ball in the Bermuda Triangle. Center fielder collides with the left fielder, but makes the play. Nice job there by Briscoe, and the inning is over. So the run does not score for Hargrave. Last chance for Needville. Hargrave 3 outs away from a state championship. Can they hold off Needville? We'll come back with what may be the conclusion in just a moment here on Fox Sports. Last chance for Needville. They need 2 runs to tie up the game, 3 to take the lead. It will be Crosby, FIEBRICH, and Hine. Harmony, you've been in this situation before, 3 outs from a state championship. What's going through the minds of both of these teams?
You know, on the defensive side of it, you're thinking, let's keep doing what we've been doing. Let's keep this momentum in our favor, and let's close the game out right here. You got a lot of confidence in Unroe, who's done a great job coming in for relief and pitching almost a full game, at least by pitches thrown, definitely a full game's worth.
She's gonna hit the 100 pitch mark at some point in this inning. Crosby reached on fielder's choice, run scored after she was lifted for a courtesy run in the first, and then strike out and a ground out. First pitch is a ball, 1-0.
You know, if you look at the other side of it, Needville, you know, they cannot press, but at the same time, you know they're feeling that. They're feeling, we got 3 outs, we got however many batters can get up there to score, and let's push a win here.
1 ball, no strikes. We're on top of the 7th. Pitch is hit high in the air to left field. It will stay and move over to, to foul territory. Left fielder O'Neill makes the play for the first out of the inning. Hargrave now 2 outs away from their first ever team state championship in any sport. Here's FIEBRICH. FIEBRICH was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the first, grounded out and struck out since. Still thinking about who our player of the game will be. A couple of names that come to mind, O'Neill and Unroe for Hargrave. Still obviously a long way to go. Needville just needs a bloop, and a blast, and then they take the lead. Pitch is high for a ball, 1-0. We saw it happen once in the semis earlier this week. A team down by 2 runs came back to win. Last night, San Benito had been no-hit through 6 1/3 innings, down 3-0. Scored 2 runs, had the tying runner thrown out at home, so this is still a long way from being done. Pitch is swung on, popped up in the air. That will get out of play. And a fan from Calvert, Texas makes the catch.
Yes, and the comeback is definitely within reach, you know, and that's something Needville has to keep in mind. Like I said, keep your composure, 1 pitch at a time. What do we need to do right here to win this pitch? Piece those together and try to stay in this game.
1 ball, 1 strike. Pitch is swung on, popped up in the air, and that will hit out of play. And it's 1-2. We already had 1 foul ball come into our booth today. Bart McNeil, our camera guy up here in the press box. You see the great shots from behind home plate. Made the catch right there and then handed it to Harmony. Camera guys have done a great job today. The truck has done a great job. Matt Broussard rolling both down in the truck. Pitch is a ground ball. Third baseman cannot handle it. Rolls up her sleeve. Would have been a tough play anyways, but FIEBRICH is safe. Wait for the ruling, but now the tying run will come to the plate.
And as long as they don't let this mentally get to them, this doesn't hurt them. You know, they do have a 2-run lead. You're seeing here, ball chopped down and just gets away from her a little bit. She takes her eyes off of it. I said this before. The fundamentals are the ones that you have to have here, and they're the ones that sometimes they get away from you a little bit. Keep your eye on the ball all the way into the glove and make that play.
Phil Brandt will be charged with an error. Third error of the game against the Falcons. Here's Noelle Hine. Hine is 0 for 2. She reached on an error in the first that allowed a run to score. Pitch is a grounder, chop foul inside of the box, 0-1. Can't really use the bunt right now because you have only 2 outs left to work with. And at this point, Hargrave really doesn't have to worry about the runner at first because the runner cannot tie or take the lead. It's the batter at the plate that would represent the tying run.
Exactly. They have a focus on getting outs wherever those are the easiest.
You could almost concede second base if you wanted to. Pitch is a ground ball. First baseman has it, looks to second, then runs over to first in time to get the out. And Hargrave 1 out away from their first team state championship in any sport. The only player standing between that happening is Taylor Nolan. Nolan is 1 for 3 with a single.
You know, you saw we kind of were talking about that. You look at the two, and really, you stay composed and you don't. We see our first baseman really take that ball in and think about going 2, then realize, I just need the out, and went and got the easy one at 1.
And in that case, why even look at second base? Because that runner doesn't matter. Take the out at first, get the second out.
Absolutely. All that can really do is cause a blunder.
Oh, here's Nolan. Nolan again representing the tying run and the last chance for the Blue Jays. And there for a ball 1-0. And ever since the first inning when Hargrave struggled in the field and in the circle allowing 3 runs, it's pretty much been Falcons since that point. There was another error in the top of the second. Pitch is a ground ball foul down the third baseline, 1-1.
But what if you look at it overall, Hargrave, what a great pairing of pitchers. You know, you see Kate's come in the first game and really throw and do what she needed to do her job. Coming in today's game, struggled a little bit, and she has that confidence. The pitching staff has the confidence. They have somebody on the bench that can come and take care of a game herself with Unro.
One ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Falcons 2 strikes away from a state championship. The 1-1 is swung on, a ground ball, shortstop fields it, throws it over to first in time. Ball game is over. Falcon crest, Huffman Hargrave wins their first team state championship in any sport, and they'll take the gold trapezoid back to Huffman. Well, the air does not come back to haunt Hargrave as Needville led 4-0 after an inning and a half. Hargrave battled, had a pitching change, had some aggressive base running, and they are your 2015 Class 4A state softball champions. Your final score, the Huffman Hargrave Falcons 6, the Needville Lady Jays 4. Back in a moment with our DQ big play of the game and more in just a moment here on Fox Sports. Well, the Huffman Hargrave Falcons win their first team state championship in any sport, the 20th season of the program in softball. They trailed 4-0 at one point, came all the way back to win by the final score of 6-4. Time to announce our player of the game and the DQ big play of the game. We go back to the 5th inning. Loren Dempsey had hit a 2-run double to make it 4-3, and then Maggie McCloskey, who had a big play in the semifinals, the go-ahead 2-run single, and that gave them the lead at 5-4. They would get an insurance run later at 6-4. Maggie McCloskey, the play for her, the DQ big play of the game. And there's the elbow check at the end, which a little bit of frustration out of there, but Hargrave the winner there. And our player of the game, brought to you by Ford. Megan Unroe, the reliever, pitches 5 1/3 innings through 108 pitches. No runs allowed on 5 hits, struck out 8. As you see the medal ceremony right there, and as I bring Harmony Schvetzhelm back in, she did a great job. The real change in momentum in this game briefly, Maddie O'Neill, 3 stolen bases in this game, tying a state record in 4A.
As you mentioned, hard to find a player of the game. Unroe definitely deserving, but O'Neill also offensively really got it in, put pressure on that defense, and forced runs to score.
O'Neill with all the stolen bases there. Unroe lost in the semifinals last year to LaGrange, gets the win in relief. Your final score one more time, Huffman Hargrave 6 and Needville 4. Needville a runner-up for the second time in school history. But it's Huffman Hargrave, the Falcons, George Foreman. They're going to be grilling some stuff tonight down in Huffman. Want to thank Matt Broussard in the truck. And for Harmony Schvetzhelm, I'm Greg Sherman. Thank you so much for joining us here. 6-4 your win for Huffman Hargrave. So long and good day from Austin, Texas.